What's up, Americans? Mostly Americans, my American friends. I'm here to ask questions and learn because I've been harassing people that I know that are American to try to explain to me, like, really what's going on down, not down under, but slightly down below me. And first, I'm going to bring in Lord and Lady B because they are always here.
Howdy.
Hi, guys. I'm just saying
Thanks
hi
for
to the
coming on,
chat.
guys. Hello, chat. We're a little bit late, but not too bad. On time for me. This is very much Zach's on time. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
You guys
Good,
excited
good,
for
good.
this?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am out of it. Like I'm having kind of a rough time. I might dip out early, but I wanted to hear. I'm here for the popcorn and the drama. And
Yeah.
I have a lot of feelings about American politics too, but I don't have like typical, like I like certain white like party affiliations. I don't have that at all. In fact, I don't really like the government at all. So.
And you've lived in mostly California, and also the Midwest, both you guys.
Yeah.
I don't want to be specific about it, but I got like a bit of a sample size there maybe, but you two found each other. So obviously you probably agree on a lot of things.
Yeah. Oh yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
So I never had another Californian here. He's also the
Roman,
former Navy man. So he has that military experience.
Yeah, don't use that against me, Zach.
I only make fun of the Navy stuff when you're here, not behind your back.
I may come by myself. I could take it. So thank you for having me tonight. I'm very, very honored to be here amongst your panelists and meeting Lord B, not Lord Gaga. Very different from Lady Gaga and Lord Gaga. But it's very nice to meet you. I'm excited about this one. And I have a musical number prepared for later on if things get slow.
Sweet.
Oh,
slow in this stream.
That's why you bring me. That's why I'm here.
Next we got our boy Leon Idol.
I'm proud to be an American. You like my impression? He's the quintessential American right there, boy. Let's go. Thank you for having me on. I'm stoked.
Thanks for coming on. And for Leon, like specifically, I wanted you on this because I've heard you talk about politics quite a bit. You know your stuff, but also you were somebody who you had voted for Obama. You'd said back in the day, and now you've sort of changed. So I think that's a good perspective to have and why and what's different. And if you would change back, can we say change back now on YouTube? I don't know.
You can't for me because of the whole obvious thing. But for most people, I don't know.
Okay. And last but not least, Brahmabull, it's been a while for you, but you are the political guy that I can contact who would come on my show on YouTube. So I appreciate you coming on.
Well, I do a political show on Sunday morning, so I guess that somewhat qualifies me to talk to you.
And you also do a Christian show as well. So you have those sort of pieces in place that I might want to pull from later.
Yeah, we actually did a Christian panel tonight on should Christians vote. So we did that a few hours ago.
And how did that go? Can I hear about some of that?
Well, biblically, yes, we are called to be conservators and stewards. So your vote is your stewardship when you have a political authority over you. So you should, as a Christian, be involved. I wouldn't tell anybody who to vote for, but you need to vote. You need to be a part of the system because you have to be in the system. That's kind of how it went. And then a whole bunch of Odin talking Catholic stuff.
Okay. Well, one of the big mistakes people make, I think, in democracies, or you guys are a republic, I get that, is that they're tricked into or they decide to be on a side that chooses not to vote. And historically, that never goes the way you're told it's going to go. Right. So I think you've come to probably the right decision there. But thank you, your Barney, for that. I'm going to play you a little Wednesday clip that I would have played in the intro, but I was too slow to get to my computer. So here it is for you.
7:02 already this morning, and just flying by like this week. It's Wednesday, right?
I think so.
Hump day.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Hopefully we'll have a dry hump day.
It's not real. Oh.
Oh my.
He's like, would you forget the lube or something?
those are almost only funny because the guys' reactions all the time when they do that. It's always like, oh, hey,
That's because guys are always thinking immediately that it's what is the least,
You know,
what's the
stop the
3-year-old
guys are always
response?
thinking.
let's say hello to some people, but I got some questions here too. Okay, can someone explain to me white dudes for Harris?
I thought it
Gay
was a meme,
retarded
but it's
men, I
real.
believe, is
It's
the-
real, right? It's real.
It
It's
is.
real.
It is. It's sad and it's real. They're mostly actors. They're mostly actors who are coming out in favor of that candidate, and they're mostly washed up. Like you got Fat Hobbit, you've got Mark Hamill. These, these strong men of Hollywood are coming out in favor of Tim Walz and Harris.
It's almost brilliant because the left has finally come to the conclusion that they can't disparage white people anymore, and so they're like, oh, our goal is to show it's okay to be white as long as you're white leftist, which has been different the last 8 years. So,
Oh God, I feel bad for Jeff Bridges. He's the one I was like, the dude. Come on, man. You just don't even. You shouldn't even care. J.J. Abrams isn't the shock at all. Mark Hamill, well.
J.J. Abrams, like, dye your hair, but not your beard. That's a look.
Is this taken off at all, Brahmabull down south?
Oh no.
It's
No,
embarrassing, is it not?
They made
What
some
they-
super.
What they
cringe-
need is masculinity, and they put a whole bunch of gay guys in an ad.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
said,
it's
this is masculine now.
George
So
Bush.
no, it's not. It's not tricking anybody who's independent or planning on voting for Trump already. So I don't know if you saw the normal world skit mocking that commercial.
Haven't seen that. No.
I
I
can't
can send it
imagine
to
that
you.
a skit of that would be funnier because there's no way it could be more goofy and more extreme and more off-putting than the actual legitimate ad. Like
It
the
is.
first-
It's horrible.
the first time I saw that ad, I legitimately thought it was parody, and I
Yeah,
was
me
wondering,
too.
like,
I was like, this can't be real.
when
I
did
thought
the
so too.
Republicans get good at parody? But no, it's
No, it's
not.
real. This is.
I can't believe you guys questioned. I was like, oh no, this is still very obviously real because Mark Hamill was a part of it. Like that was that.
Oh,
That's
I never
what
saw
should have made
him.
you realize it was real from the jump. Like, yep, this is 100% something that Marky Mark would not Marky Mark, but the other Mark would do.
Yeah, Leon, you and I are talking about different videos. There's
There's an
couple
ad,
of
and then
them.
there was the Zoom
Oh,
call.
you mean the ad? Okay, yeah, that I thought was parody as well. You're right. Yeah, the ad I thought was
Oh.
parody.
Was it like I'm man enough to cry in front of my horse?
Yep.
Oh my God. Where is that? I need to watch that.
Yeah, we should watch
Oh
it.
my God! Hang on, let me find
No,
it.
that was the stable boy. That was the stable boy who
Okay.
may have been brought in by Tim Walz based on his love of horses.
Oh my god.
He does love horses a little too much.
Is this a real hat? You guys.
Well, that is a
Spending
PNG.
$10 million on this, like, it's crazy.
What's up, 1,000 men? Well, thanks to see you in the chat. Blair to Blair's here. Hey, old Blair, you helped a ton on Saturday night. We helped reach Nadia's goals and blew them away. So thank you all for that. That was a wild show, so wild that I left it up as long as I could. I had to move it members only because it's like spicy, and then it goes above and beyond. So it involves wet boobies, and I don't know if you like that kind of thing, but if you do, you might want to go check it out in the.
If you don't like that
Member
thing, you're
section.
probably part of White Guys for Harris.
You
Might
exactly.
be.
Go
Yeah.
see these guys.
You might be. I'm actually on my way to bed, but I just wanted to stop and say, hey, Rosie, good to see you. It's been a long time. Always good to see you here. We got Cage and Corey's here. We have got Adega. What's up, Adega? Baguettes. We got Dildo, who's also a foreigner like me. We got Moxie Dame. Woo! Hey, Moxie, good to see you here. Yeah, this is going to be, I think, a fun show. Big ship. Like, I was thinking about entertainment stuff to discuss on a Wednesday. I'm like, I'm so invested in this stuff. And it's way more interesting to me than anything in the theaters or on TV, except for maybe, like, I guess, The Penguin. But we already talked about The Penguin, and I don't have questions about that. And people who know me, I've been DMing people asking these weird questions about, like, wait, how did you guys get here? And what's going to happen after this? Because there was just a thing earlier tonight, which I know White Guys for Harris is funny, but like she's saying that people are saying that Trump was saying Hitler had some good ideas, which maybe he did. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know if he said that or not. But it's like any kind of filters are now seem to be off. When I was in Vegas recently, they have a 43-foot naked Trump.
Right.
And have you
so
ever
cool.
had stuff like this before?
No,
that's new. That's
no.
new.
I mean,
That's,
like,
that's new for this
why
political season.
would you do that? It's disgusting.
So, and you could not do any of, I don't think you could do this other stuff the other direction at all. You can't have a naked Kamala Harris hanging from a crane, I would expect.
And nor would you want to, Zach. Nor would you
Oh.
want to, my friend. As repulsive as that is, the naked Kamala Harris would be far, far worse.
I don't want Montel Williams fluffy seconds.
On the plus side, you wouldn't be able to see the naked Kamala Harris at night. So
Okay, Graham.
She's not that dark, dude.
fair enough.
True. She's half Indian, I've been told. I'm on AJ time. That's true. Show. Well, this is as on time as I get. Blair helped with that. So Blair was awesome on that show. I really appreciate how you helped out with that. And so does she. And Janice here. She's yelling at Roman. Eraserhead OG. Good to see you here. Who else we got? Your Barmy Hill. You want me to thank you for the gifted membership. Appreciate that. And going through. Jay, what's up, Jay? Good one. Did Roman vote for Marcus Aurelius?
Yes,
you?
actually, I was on the Senate then, and I thought he was a good man.
What's
Lovely
up,
hair.
Poketalkus? So this is one of the things that like they'll get into a lot tonight, but you guys are like the biggest empire in the history. Not like you are the biggest empire in the history of the world in every possible way, economically, militarily, all of it. You guys are at your peak. So as a Canadian, I need you to kind of keep it going for a while. Yeah, like
I know,
we're
I
not
know.
ready for
Doesn't
whatever
get
may
good
come
stuff.
next. Okay, in case you're wondering, we're unprepared for most things except for winter. So we really depend on you guys to like really, and hockey, although the Jets have not been. Well, Jets are this season
Jets
so
are
far
good right
are on
now.
fire. Yep, we are.
Bucks
Except
right
for
off to the same start he was last year.
My boys, the St. Louis Blues, been doing pretty damn good. So
Oh yeah. I don't
That'll
know.
still
We're
be
still
golden.
it's sports ball season still. We are not transitioned to hockey yet.
You're still doing your fantasy football.
Oh yeah. Dude, my slaves are doing so well. I beat his slaves last week.
Nice.
It's always hard when we have to
Slaves
fight
rule.
each other.
Yep.
But they're getting
Go
good.
for, yeah, Pedro. So oh, I got your links here. Okay. So I can play these, right?
You should be.
This
able
is-
to.
I know.
Is this
I know
for real
Randall
though?
won't have a problem with the one that I
Yeah.
posted, and I don't. I mean, we've
It's
played
like-
the other ad multiple times on stuff. So
This one?
yeah,
it's
this is
like,
the
I
real
don't-
ad,
funny.
and
This
then
is-
mine's the Landau making fun of it.
Okay.
This is 100% legitimate.
Oh my god.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm a man, man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to deadlift 500.
Just look at the guy on the truck and how he's sitting.
I like how he just starts it and his first line is me. That man sits down when he pees. We all know this.
Yes,
Ugh.
it is so.
So,
bad.
he and one other dude in this I've actually looked into and are hardcore leftist actors.
Actors,
like
yeah.
they're not.
Shocking.
It's kind of
Shocking.
amazing that they have attempted to get roles in like various TV shows and whatnot and have never taken off. And so now they're here doing these campaign ads, like unconvincingly trying to be down home American boys. It's pretty great.
Yeah, he's as unconvincing as you get. This guy.
yes,
No one's ever sat like that on a truck.
on a tailgate.
And,
No.
and his hands are
Well-
like someone placed them in like a kid school picture or something. Put your hands here, and that hat is never
slightly
been worn
turned to the
before.
left.
Well,
He's-
he doesn't want to knock over his White Claw, so he's being very careful.
That's true.
I like how his eyes are sort of longingly gazing in the distance. I just imagine he's watching his wife get railed by her boyfriend off camera. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Or his boyfriend's really Don's wife. That's also possible.
That's his motivation.
Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
No shit, you do.
It shows,
Yes,
dude.
clearly.
Yeah,
This
Well,
guy's my
sauce
favorite
once in a
because he
while.
looks like if the kid from Deadpool 2 grew up. Like,
right.
Oh my
He
gosh.
does. Yeah.
But it's also, they're talking about carburetors. There are so few cars that actually
Yeah,
use
who has a
carburetors
carburetor?
anymore. I mean, that's really not a thing. So if that's their idea of masculinity, it's about 30 years behind again.
I was
The
going to say, I
film.
think the last American car with a carburetor was built in like 1989.
Yeah.
This is
I mean-
so out there.
He is
Me-
not
Come
a
on,
man of
I
that generation.
rebuilt my carburetor, so this is officially not a man's task anymore.
Well, me and my grandfather have a 79 El Camino that we spent the
Ooh.
summer restoring. We've been doing it for about 3 summers, and we actually changed it from being carbureted to fuel injected because we didn't want to fucking deal with the. So it's like even an old car like a 79 El Camino at this point is fuel injected. It's
Yeah, it's a good switch. I was
Right,
glad I
I'm being-
changed it. It was fun when I had it.
I'm being told I'm quiet, so I'm going to take it off the automatically adjust, and you guys tell me if I'm way too loud.
You sound silky smooth to me.
Chat's been saying sounds off, so we'll see.
Oh. On my end, you sound good. So,
same.
yeah. Copa. Too bad Copa doesn't know anything about politics. He could be great on this show tonight, but he's
There's too much world building in politics.
yeah, it's true. Yes,
building.
exactly. It's too much world building in politics. Plus, he's probably a closet lefty. It's possible.
Hollywood thing, you know.
Yeah, Hollywood. He wants to go back. He's trying to get back. Your Barmy, thank you, dude. Another gifted membership. Appreciate that very much. Here you go. We'll give you Demi.
Your favorite dish?
My favorite dish. I like mugs because they're very comfortable in your hand and they hold the hot things that you don't have to touch.
Literally.
Incredibly dumb.
Wow.
I mean,
She votes.
I still maintain that's an incredible reference to Miss Congeniality.
she could be playing 5D chess with us. You're correct, but I don't think so.
No.
Perfect. What's up? All right, Brahma, you're quiet. I think they're. Oh yeah.
I think I fixed it now.
I think Jen is messing with you.
Could be.
She's sneaky. She says she's Persian, but she's Middle Eastern enough. So I don't know if you should trust her or not, and things like that. That's up to you. I won't judge.
Fucking sand bunnies.
That's right. Yep. Speaking of sand bunnies, let's watch this guy.
I ain't afraid of bears. That's what bear hugs are for.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of.
I'm not afraid of bears. I'm like, that man has been wrangled with freaking baby oil and freaking bears and otters all together at once.
I ain't afraid of bears. No
Yes,
shit.
you are. Yes, you are. Look at your body posture. You've been had by some bears.
No, he picked up 3 of them in the bar the night before.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he's scared of them because they're too rough for him, and he's not a power bottom. So
He can't sit properly. So obviously it's been a rough night.
There you go.
Does this guy look like a 10% gayer version of Copa to anybody else?
Slightly, a little bit more. What's up, Gooch? Good to see you, dude. Yeah, we're watching. So if you just got in here, we're watching the white. These are not white dudes, obviously, for Harris. These are other dudes for Harris. All dudes for Harris. Yeah, I mean, it's just so far. I'm sold. Hey, Cavadino, Calvin Manche, you gotta. Oh, Lisa's here too. Good to see you, Lisa. All right, let's watch more of this amazing ad.
That's what bear hugs are for.
I'll tell you another thing
I eat 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
I ain't afraid of bears. That's what bear hugs are for.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
This is so funny. It's
Whoa.
like,
Wow. It went from bad to really bad really fast. That's a real steep dive from I'm a man, which is kind of like saying I'm the boss, as Tony Soprano said. If you have to keep saying that, you're not the boss.
Yeah.
To I love cat ladies. It's an interesting change up.
Is that 0 to 100 or 100 to 0? I'm truly not sure.
It's the opposite. Yeah.
I'm like, why did they start? Why did they start this argument with like, I think women should do IVF or something like that? Like what?
That's Tim Walls. That's
I know.
That weird little feller. Oompa Loompa.
If this is 100 to 0, this is like a Princess Diana 100 to 0. Like,
Yes, absolutely. Adega, well put. Beta
male.
We're gonna play this song even though Don's not here. I think this is Phil.
Beta male, beta, not an alpha male. Beta male, yes. Beta male, beta. You a beta male? Beta male, not an alpha male. Beta. What a shame. Zombies, boy.
I love that song. It slaps.
That's slap. All right. So you guys, like, you guys heard people talking about this ad? Has anyone been like, oh man, I was going to vote for Trump, but now I'm thinking these guys have convinced me otherwise? Is this an effective ad, would you say?
The only effect this ad had, other than us laughing at it and everybody on Earth laughing at it, is I think James Carville jumped off the roof of the FBI building on seeing this.
Yes. Yeah, Carville actually called his staff some very the staff that put this together, because he's on their advisory committee, because they needed the old white guy to bring in to go,
yeah.
what are you guys doing here? You are a bunch of bleep, 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 agates. Is basically what he did. And the chair went out the window. We've all seen the meme. That was that meeting.
The crazy Cajun.
Okay, so James Carville is somehow connected to this, is what you're telling me.
James, he's been a Democratic. He's been a Democrat strategist for decades.
Yes, and he's very much of the opinion. Guy? Yes.
He looks like a Muppet. He looks like if Grover's hair fell off and he just started yelling a lot. That's James Carville.
Yeah, George, stop! Oh my God, George, get out of the computer, please.
Basically, me in 50 years.
Oh my God, shut up!
That's the version of this book that I want to read.
And I think this actor on right now, I think I've seen him before.
Probably. He's the most successful of anyone in this video. He's the one that's got like the most IMDb credits.
Okay. Oh, you've looked into this?
Yes. I said there was a couple of them that I looked into. This is like the main dude that everyone's talking about. He's got I don't remember off the top of my head what some of them, but he's got some like legitimate credentials as an actor.
Okay.
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donut.
Bears full-throated endorsement.
I know. This is like I saw this and it couldn't be real, but it is.
When it came out, we all thought it was like the Babylon Bee.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bear and the full-throated and look me in the eyes, make eye contact, and a full-throated endorsement. Yeah. The same guy.
I'm not afraid of bears.
They know their target audience, to be fair, because almost vote left. Like,
yeah, Jenna, this is the way of administering mass birth control. So this was like in front of a bunch of. This is first someone's idea, and then they approved this idea. They cast these actors. Some people shot this, edited it, and then they thought, we should put this out.
This is great.
Yeah. This makes us look good. We're going to reach to men.
Fuck. So out of touch.
Hey, Juan, you thought that video was really great too, right? Oh, it was so masculine. Yeah.
This is the Hollywood issue, but on the political side, really. You can't say no to a bad idea. This is for you, Leon.
And so, yeah, my granny was the first one to turn me on.
My granny was the first one to turn me on.
I did not know you clipped that. That's
nice. I had to go back in the archives, Leon. Clipped perfectly. Yeah. All right, more of these goofballs.
Oh,
man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters like.
Holy fuck.
What? Why?
They're talking about book banning. They're using the wrong context. So they're talking about banning, essentially pornographic how-to manuals.
Oh yeah, I know that, and I'm just like, we need to.
But they can't say that though. They have to say, they're banning
Little Women and the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
It's an utterly ridiculous thing that they love to throw out there because they assume no one's going to do a follow-up on. Well, what are they banning? It's not actually the classics, folks, nor is it even really modern fiction. It is very specific stuff.
Also, nobody's trying. I feel like,
to be fair, there are a lot of Southern schools and whatnot, or northern schools that have banned To Kill a Mockingbird. Like, that's a legit thing. There's a lot of left-leaning liberal schools, big cities that ban To Kill a Mockingbird.
Which is there's a lot of leftists that have banned a whole bunch of Mark Twain books too.
Yeah. That's another thing. Yep.
Huck Finn,
and I feel
gone.
like I hate this conversation because everyone's like they're banning books. Like asking for you not to give a pornographic book in a children's section is not banning a book. Asking you to have age appropriate materials in a library is not there. But I don't know. I went to my public library last week and I found this horrible, it was funny. I've seen this before. It's like, I think they call it like hood fiction or something, and it's like sort of inner city dramas. And I've seen some very interesting books in the past, and I'm like, oh, this is funny. So I pick up this book and I open it up, and it is just page after page of just hardcore pornographic shit. And I'm just like,
so then you bought it?
Absolutely not. I do not want to read about like black lesbians like in prison or whatever it was. It was horrible.
I just did a story a couple weeks ago on my channel about a school banning a manga called Assassination Classroom purely because of the title, which means they didn't actually read it. No, and this is a high school, by the way. It was a ninth grader. This is because it was a ninth grader's mom that freaked out. And like, it's a comedy manga about an alien that takes over a school, and so like the school has to beat the alien. So like, it's not actually. The book banning thing. It is sort of happening, but not to the extent the left is making it out to be. It's more one of those, both sides are banning books, both sides,
Right.
And for very different and equally stupid, or well, one side is a stupid reason, one side's a great reason to ban them, but the other side's got supposedly good reasons to have them in schools. So they don't.
The right's banning CP, and the left wants to get rid of classics because they may say ideas that are not modern now.
Right, but
I feel like you're both even falling too far into the trap already. You know, when you use the phrase banning books, like accepting the premise of the phrase banning books is already
true, because it's not a ban. They're still for sale. We're just saying get them out of the freaking kids' libraries.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
right, well, but some of these that are being, quote unquote, banned should be in the libraries, like To Kill a Mockingbird, like the manga Assassination Classroom, like the Mark Twain classics. Those have been banned and shouldn't be.
They used to be required reading.
Animal Farm and not Nosferatu. Yeah, absolutely, they're required reading, and now they're not even allowed in some of these leftist big city schools. Those are legitimate bans that should be fought against, as opposed to celebrated. Celebrate banning genderqueer from schools, but not fucking 1984.
Time scales. Thank you, Jana. So this is the thing. Like, should you approach this issue? Because these are things that are being obviously tossed back and forth that are not in good faith. Like Little Women is not being looked at to be pulled off the shelves or banned, right? So no one's using actual examples, right? Yeah. So is this something that would be dealt with normally on like a school district level, or why is this in federal politics?
Because the Department of Education was created, and we need to get rid of it. When the federal government is who's deciding what's going on in the schools in every part of the country. I mean, every state and every locality should be in charge of what they're teaching in those schools. Absolutely. Because there are different values and different things happening in different parts of the United States.
Absolutely, yeah.
The Department of Education should be gone.
Yes.
I mean, all government departments should be gone.
Has dropped from the Department of Education's inception down to current levels, which are astoundingly bad. That's since the Department of Education. I was fortunate, my wife was fortunate to come in just under the radar of the Department of Education before they took and screwed up all the stuff. So the education that we got as kids was wildly different than what our kids got. As far as your basic stuff, your reading and your history probably being the most egregious example of what they have decided to scrub from
history and civics.
And this isn't even a left versus right issue. I mean, you can go back to the Bush administration and look at how catastrophic the No Child Left Behind Act was, and that was a right-wing policy. So this is 100% bipartisan. It should be bipartisan. The Department of Education needs to get fucked.
So
should be,
to an extent, I think you, don't get me wrong, you guys are right. The Department of Education needs to either be banned or rapidly shape up. But I think we put too much blame for the collapse of the American education system on the Department of Education. For the most part, schools are still run at the local level. there needs to be a purging of school districts across the board. There needs to be a purging of the way teaching is taught in colleges. There needs to be a banning of teachers union publicly negotiating with, Democratic administrators and congressmen. Like don't get me wrong, banning the Department of Education is great, but the Department of Education is like 12% of the problem.
Right. I mean, it's a big thing. You need to participate in your local politics just as much as the federal is an issue. Your local politics is, and it's where the parents are going in and reading these books out loud in the board meetings. And if you are that concerned, you need to try to get on the school boards, especially if you've got kids in the school.
And actually, that's not as hard as you'd think.
It's not. Very few people run.
Elections are generally uncontested. It's usually maybe a candidate who's just been sitting there forever, sometimes two, but those are small scale elections, and anybody can get in there. My son was on the ballot a couple of years ago because they just needed to fill it. He didn't obviously didn't get elected, but without really doing anything, he pulled 25% of the vote. As an older person getting involved with some experience in the field at all, you can have a real impact. And talking about local education systems, one of the main problems, and I apologize if you're a minority in this, are teachers. Teachers are coming out of the left-leaning, factories with these ideas. So you're almost your entire young branch of teachers, and you have a dying off old breed of teacher who is still hanging on, but there's not many of them left. So that itself is a giant problem. We need more. I don't even want to say necessarily conservative, but just traditional teachers being in the classrooms, and that's something that is, it's a lost art now.
Nearly every single teacher I had growing up was a diehard Reaganite. Like to be fair, I live in the Midwest. We treat Ronald Reagan like a god anyway. But I can probably rattle off every single 5th, 6th, and 7th grade teacher I had, and all of them were just. Again, I don't know if they were conservative per se, but they were. And again, I'm actually staunchly anti Ronald Reagan on a lot of things. But the point is, that was sort of the environment we grew up in. Is that traditional older teacher that was like, "Yep, nope, Ronald Reagan."
Well, and you probably didn't know anything about your 5th, 6th, and 7th grade teachers' sex lives either, did you?
Minus my 5th grade teacher getting fired for sexual harassment of the young girls in his class. You're right. No, I didn't.
Zoinks.
Wow. Yep. Ouch.
Which happens more than it does in the Catholic Church at this point. The public education system is the ones doing all the bad touching right now.
Jana, thank you. I've got that link now pulled up. We'll get to it later with Kamala Harris with her Atlanta black scent.
Yeah, Zach, I posted something in the private chat. It's a podcast series called Sold a Story. And it's a fascinating and horrifying read through about how the American education system and the Department of Education is so broken that a lady decided to basically lie and say that she figured out a way to teach kids reading and make them read better. And we just believed her because Jimmy Carter was a fucking moron. And I'm sorry, not Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton.
You had me at Carter. It's not
Carter's there too.
And so we then spent the next 15 years teaching kids how to read wrong. We went away from phonics and we went to what they call whole learning theory.
Yeah.
Oh,
and we destroyed a generation of children's academic success because somebody thought they had a great idea in the Department of Education. And
then we've done it again with Common Core math.
Common Core,
absolutely. And it's very much the same concept of we have so many people getting PhDs in education fields that they need to justify their existence. So they come up with broken theories. And then a whole bunch of people decide that they like this person. So they espouse the theory. And then it gets pushed into kids' classrooms and it destroys them.
I think it's more insidious than that.
Oh,
I think they come up with these new ways of doing all of it so that the parents can't be involved in the education of their kids because they won't accept the answers the way we tell them to do it. They have to show their work in the new Common Core way, or that kind of stuff. And since none of us, we all learned how to do math like people with brains.
Properly.
So we can't teach our own kids. So that just further captures the kids into the education system where they get
I would argue it's
indoctrinated
even
with
more
whatever the hell
insidious.
they want.
I would say it's even more insidious than that, Brahma. I would say it's an intentional downgrading of the education so that they can't just throw, arithmetic based on memorization.
Right.
They can't write the way they should. I think it's very intentional because it's a dumbing down of the population. A dumb population is a controlled population. So,
I go back and forth on this because I very much hold to the quote of never attribute to malice, which you can first attribute to stupidity. And while I do believe there is a lot of intentional dumbing down children, also how much of this is just because it is all politics at the end of the day and the government is good at nothing actually is sheer stupidity. It's a fine line to walk.
Yeah,
I think
line.
I think on any issue that's as complicated as this, there's both bad actors and incompetent
idiots.
buffoons. But yes.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. Common Care. I think that we tried a similar style up here, which also didn't work. But yeah, I had phonics. We teach phonics at home too, so I think you really need to if you want your kid to be able to read stuff they haven't seen before. The memorization shit, I don't know. That was a terrible idea. Well done, Australians from lower education standards, teach propaganda via victim narratives, remove critical thinking, and shift any blame to those being smeared through indoctrination. Is that accurate?
Pretty much.
100%.
Well, we spend more on our students than just about any country. We've gone from being in the top 5 and how our students perform to somewhere, what are we, around 200 right now?
It depends on the category. In math, we were 49 last I checked, which 49 still isn't
49?
good.
Okay.
I don't know what math is the only one that I've looked up recently, but yeah, we were 49. I actually looked into this 2 months ago.
The ironic thing is we're actually getting better in those rankings, not because our students are doing better, but because Europe is
we're importing Asian.
Yeah, we're getting worse.
Because we export our stupidity to other countries and they go with it.
We export our stupidity to other countries, and the European nations that used to do well are importing people that don't understand English in their systems, and it's killing their test scores, ironically.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Playing the long game, are we?
Well, what was
we'll
it
get done
last?
first, but then you're going to get really done.
Last year, I think it came out that there was not a single 8th grader in the Baltimore public school system that could read.
Oh yeah. Remember that?
That's not really surprising if you've been to Baltimore.
Sorry, what was that? Can you repeat that?
That was mean to the people of Baltimore.
There was a story that came out last year that I'm pretty sure was fact-checked, true. There was not a single 8th grader in the Baltimore school districts that could read.
Wow.
At grade level.
No,
at grade level.
Yeah.
But we're talking about kindergarten level reading amongst the 8th graders at best.
Brahmabull, to add some anecdotal to that, back in roughly 2014, 2015, I was a supervisor for the company CenturyLink, the internet company, and it was we sell internet, things to that effect. They put this girl on my team, young black girl. She's probably 21 years old. I'm not exaggerating. She didn't know how to write her name. They actually hired somebody who was quite literally 21 years old and completely illiterate because we needed to meet certain diversity quotas.
Yeah.
What? A diversity quota at a company? I find that impossible to believe.
I fired her day one because she couldn't do her job because she couldn't read, and you need to be able to read disclosures and things to that effect. And I got in trouble for it.
Yeah.
No, what you're talking about is crazy, and it's called a 529 plan. I'm sorry, what is it? It's not a 529. That's the accounting plan. But there's a thing you can do now as a parent where you say my kid has this disability, and it basically makes it so that a school can't fail them. There's no
like an IEP.
IEP. I'm sorry.
IEP. Yeah.
No. I'm vastly familiar with the IEP, but it's for actually legit reasons, not because I just want my kid to get away from stuff. There's so many things in the public system now that are I mean, it's funny.
They
We're
were-
talking
they were-
about
they were good
we're talking
ideas
about
at the time.
the beginnings of where this problem begins. It all starts with what we're talking about right now. We dumb down the population, then we vomit a candidate on them, and they who rattles off all the hyperbola and flat out lies, and they talk about the man with the mustache a lot, and we
Charlie
expect
Chaplin?
he was brilliant. The Dictator, that's a funny movie. Everybody loves that.
I have a comic book.
1991 at all.
I need to show it to you sometime, Roman. It's called the Fuhrer and the Tramp, and it's this comic where like Charlie Chaplin goes undercover into fucking Germany and
so
becomes
good.
Hitler's best friend. It's so good.
Oh yeah, that is a funny movie.
Nos, hold on in the chat. Nos,
Do they
you
have-
can't
do they have the
stop
scene with
accusing
the-
people of
with
being
the-
white. We're not accusing people of being white here right now. Nos,
Hold on,
so
I'll
stop
grab it and
it.
show you.
Oh
No
my
more
God.
white.
I'll leave it to Leon.
I'm so curious about what's the caption on this one. I'm man enough to raw dog a flight of I need.
I don't. What does that
So
that
it's-
mean?
It's
That
a
was it.
term. It's a thing that the Generation Z and the millennials have been doing. It's going on a flight with no distractions. You're not allowed to read. You're not allowed to use your phone. You're not allowed to listen to anything. You can only basically look straight forward for the
Oh my
duration
God.
of the flight.
That's
Oh
hilarious.
my God, the cover is what I thought it was. Oh my God, that's fantastic.
That's the back cover. And this is the front cover.
Hey Romeo. So the
This is
challenge
so
is to
good.
be alive in the 80s on a road trip, basically.
I know,
except,
right? Like it-
except not dressed up like you would be on a flight in the 80s, where we used to actually,
I know
think
people
of
dress.
flight as
Yeah, when
classy.
we're like, yeah, flag is
That
cool,
was
and
weird.
now
That was weird.
it's like this is a Greyhound bus in the sky.
Flying sucks.
Yeah, he
Oh, yeah.
flies all the time.
I missed the ashtrays.
All right, we have to get through this commercial here, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we still have the mockery one of
Man
it
enough
too.
to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters like.
I'm man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it.
I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse.
Is Tim Waltz watching?
Tim Waltz, that's his input.
He wrote that line.
That line.
In front of my horse.
Cat moment.
He loves the horse. He's
Take
a big
that,
horse
Navy-
fan. Never
Navy
been a
SEALs.
bigger horse fan than Tim Walls. Loves the horse.
What did you walk
Welcome
into?
back.
I'm being educated right now, Romeo. That's what you walked into.
And we're doing a better job than the Department of Education.
It sounds like that would
That's
be
not
difficult to
hard.
be worse.
I think we're coming into like 29th right now, sir. We're still well above all of the Department of Education.
I owe Jana a clip, and I'm gonna play this one for you.
Can I try one of these?
Courtney, I would love to see my meat in your mouth. So I've got a burger ready to go for you.
time I've heard that.
I mean,
That's not the first
Good
time
on
I've
her
heard
for
that.
leaning into it.
Yes. Low Spec, what's up, dude? I've been watching your Deus Ex streams. That's been a long time since I played that game, but it's fun to watch you do it.
I gotta jump out for just a sec. I'll be right back.
Roger that.
Cool.
More cringe. How about that?
Only 20 seconds to go.
We almost did it.
I'm man enough to tell you that I cry at Love Actually.
Goodwill Hunting.
West Side Story. That and Predator.
And I'm sick of so-called men domineering.
He cried in Predator?
Gianna, if you
I
don't
can't
cry
say
in Predator, you know.
I can't. I cried at T2, so
Jana loves Predator. I don't know if she
not
cried.
until I had a kid. If it makes it any better, though, like only after I saw her crying at it did I start crying because like she understands. So if that makes it better,
Yeah, it is.
He cried when the predator died.
Yes. They're very pro Predator, I understand.
Yeah.
Belittling and controlling women just so they can feel more powerful.
So, okay, this entire ad is like these cringe dudes talking about women.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is this like what's the target audience for this? Is this
I don't
men
get this
or
at all.
women?
No, it's supposed to be targeting men because the whole thing is liberal white women are the largest voting bloc for Kamala, but men hate her and they hate Tim Walz because he's a little bit fruity. and they need to get a voting block of white men, and they think by talking down to us and putting up this kind of crap that's going to get us on their side. They're trying to shame men into voting for a woman, and trying to pretend that the reason we're not voting for the woman is because she's a woman and not because she's a freaking idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, can't it be both?
I love it.
Oh yeah, she is a legitimately horrible person. I mean,
Yeah.
This is like not going to do that. This will guaranteed not have that effect. Also, voting is one of the few things that's still somewhat private. And so you're not going to shame people into voting a certain way. You might shame them into pretending they voted for somebody else. You may do that if they go home and they get shit for it. But when it comes down to it, they're going to vote for who they're going to vote for. This is not winning people over. I would think not.
No.
It's a joke.
It is a joke.
If they had taken this over the top, it could have been intentionally funny, which would have been less cringe and may have been more effective.
That's not how my mama raised me.
I love women.
I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
Fuck.
yeah.
Yeah, actual campaign ad.
This is almost to me a political item in itself. We can't have somebody in charge of this country who is incompetent enough to release this ad.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Go on.
What does it say about a person that they are so utterly incapable of contemplating something from an external locus of contemplation that they produce this?
But we've heard her talk. This probably sounds like genius writing to her.
Yeah, I mean it's a classic example of midwittery.
But there's got to be people who are smart. There has to be. You can't
all
be
of us on this panel, and that's probably about it.
No, but really,
I mean,
these campaigns they can't be this bad.
Her campaign is this bad.
I mean,
this is going to be a long stream.
They've had to go from hiding her to then putting her on shows with softball questions, and then stopping those interviews in the middle of it because she can't answer softball questions. This campaign has been run horribly. Every decision that they've made has been bad. I mean, she was on a blowjob podcast just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, this is from Jano. This is her black scent.
Oh my god!
I haven't heard this before.
She has a different accent at every stop. It's wild.
Single rally.
Okay.
Union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. Thank unions for sick leave. Thank unions for paid family leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
Wow.
It's even funnier. It's more specific than this. When she's in Arizona, she puts on a really bad Hispanic accent.
It's so funny.
It's hysterical.
And historically, because I don't know how it worked in Canada. I don't know if you guys have a wide range of. I know you speak multiple languages, French and English and whatnot. But I don't know if you have a wide range of accents. But we do here in America, and this is something politicians did used to do. It was very common practice, well before the age of. I was gonna say the internet, but probably even TV and radio, because if you're gonna go around the country campaigning, you want whoever's voting for you to feel like you're part of their community. So the fact was she's using a really, really old school trick that just doesn't exist anymore, because you could disprove it within 3 clicks of a button.
But Hillary Clinton used the same thing.
Oh,
that's true. That's true.
And remember, she also went on Charlemagne the God and said that she keeps hot sauce in her purse.
Who said that?
Hillary Clinton.
Oh my God.
What do you have in what kind of things do you keep in your purse? Well, I carry around a bottle of hot sauce because she was on Charlemagne the God's podcast.
Now, to be fair, I really do travel with hot sauce. That's just because if I'm ever on a plane that crashes and we've got to eat each other, I want it to taste good. So it's has nothing to do with race. I just know that I've seen the movie, I've seen the documentary. I want to come prepared. Boy Scouts taught me a lot.
But this really is just it was Hillary versus Trump, and now it's Kamala versus Trump. She's making the exact same mistakes Hillary did and doing hitting the exact same things over and over and over. And it's going to be a replay of that election.
Yeah, she declined to be on Joe Rogan. And then I saw that Trump was at some roast where he was roasting up like Democrats and Chuck Schumer,
the Al
I think,
Smith dinner.
Right. And she didn't go to that. And then she didn't go to Rogan.
But she sent a horrible video that was an SNL skit with Molly Shannon from almost 30 years ago that nobody knows or recognizes outside of our age.
A truly terrible video. The only reason I say don't play that one is because it's so unfunny. We would just be sitting here straight-faced looking at the screen for 2.5 minutes as this played, and it would just be like, we'd get to the end and go, wow, that was really unfunny.
So I hadn't seen that. So on my Friday night streams, we do 1 hour of the stream as reaction requests, and I hadn't seen the video yet. I didn't know about it, and someone put it in there. So like, oh, let's react to it. And within the first 15 seconds, before Sister Catherine Gallagher even comes on, or Mary Catherine Gallagher comes on, I was like, what is this? Looks like an SNL sketch. And then 20 seconds later, the SNL character pops up. I was like, wait, what? It was it's so bad even before the SNL stuff. You think it's an SNL sketch. It was bizarre.
Well, and the Al Smith dinner, it's supposed to be a roast, but you're supposed to singe, not, completely destroy anybody. So that's kind of what Trump did all night. She sends in the video. She would have been better not doing anything because ultimately she did not go after herself at all during that video. She only went after other people, and it was stupid things. Like, I would never make fun of Catholics, in a Catholic setting like this, just like I would never make fun of Detroit in front of Detroit citizens. And it was like,
what?
Yeah, even the people, well, Trump had done that like 2 days before, but I mean, even the people in Detroit know that Detroit sucks. That's not an unknown thing. Trump is right.
Detroit.
So one of my co-hosts literally lives in Detroit, and he said what you just said, and again, he like that confirms it. Like we were talking about the situation, he's like, "I love my city, but I'm under no delusion that it fucking sucks." Like,
you're talking about Sammy. Exactly. Sammy knows. Sammy knows.
Exactly,
Detroit
it's Sammy.
Oh, Sammy, poor Sammy.
My city sucks worse. I would put money on that. What's up, Gadfly Fiction? Sorry if I missed you in the chat, guys. There's been a lot. I can't get to everyone. I'm trying to, but you guys have been fantastic, great comments. And Nos brings up one who I don't want to encourage Nos, but he's not wrong about the Afghanistan. I think that is not out at that. I haven't heard that come up at all. The pull of how that works.
There's been so many bad things that it's impossible to go back and hit all of them. I mean, it's been
the first.
I mean, hell, Trump almost got assassinated just a few months ago, and it's completely out of the mainstream twice.
And as far as the Afghanistan exit goes, JD Vance did bring that up about 2 weeks ago on Tucker Carlson's show. That's the first time I heard about it in ages, but I'm glad it resurfaced.
Well, and then you've got the whole Waltz stolen valor thing too that just disappeared within hours.
It is amazing to me. Like, we've literally gone through a list of things that have bounced out other candidates forever.
I know, right?
Nobody. Joe Biden had to drop out of, I think it was 92 because of his plagiarism scandal.
I think that was one of the ones in the 80s, but
it was 87
plagiarism.
or something. By the way, the point is correct. Yeah,
88.
Plagiarism. Literally, he was a political persona non grata for years after that.
Yes,
yep.
and we just found out that Kamala plagiarized huge amounts of her book, and did it even show up on CBS or NBC? I don't think it did.
No,
there you go.
No, it didn't. It didn't hit the news cycle at all.
Do you guys remember the Gillette ad?
Yeah.
Yes.
The man-shaped Gillette ad they aired during the Super Bowl. Kamala's ad is very reminiscent of that without the razor. It's basically the same ad without the razor.
Yep.
Yeah. So that is true, and it's Trudeau he's going to be gone for sure. He's done.
I can't wait. I can't wait till he's gone.
But
but see, I was talking to Vex, and she was explaining that homie running against him is really no different. He's just sort of softball faking being a conservative, so she doesn't think a lot's going to change. I mean, obviously, you would know more than I would, but
no, she's not way off. Pierre Poilievre. So he's good at like the quippy
He's like
comebacks. That's what he's good at.
DeSantis. He's good at.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
He's not. Yeah, I mean, DeSantis is a bad campaigner, but he's great dealing with the press, and he's great at getting the zingers in there when he needs to.
Well, he's also good at
I think there's a significant difference between Polivere and DeSantis, and that.
Well, yeah.
That is, DeSantis is excellent at governing.
Getting ads telling me to vote with the reason that my friends and family can see if I voted. Okay, weird. So up here, like, it's not much to talk about, but things up here, they switch. Like, people get sick of somebody, and people up here will vote for different parties all the time. And we have 3 main parties, but you guys are so, like, the lines are drawn, and I can't imagine, like, years ago, I think people might have voted for Bush or for Clinton or whatever, and gone back and forth. But I think now I don't see that as being a possibility from my perspective. From what I see, it's once you're on your side, and that's why, Leon, you did cross over, and I wanted to ask you at some point, how did that happen, and would you go back, and what would it take? And why are we talking about there and back either? Like, it's kind of wild, isn't it?
So I wouldn't go back, but I'm not on the right either. I've gone full blown anarchist.
Me too! Yay!
I am full blown anarchist. So frankly, Trump isn't ideal for me, but like, he's easily 10 times better, 100 times better than Kamala, and I'm gonna vote for what I think will get us closest to a true libertarian utopia. But yeah, no, I could never go back to any party that wants big government, because I believe in quite literally zero government. So.
Okay, fair.
I was gonna bring my little what's his name, Millie? Like, I got a chainsaw from my mother-in-law, but it's like girly size, so I was gonna bring it and start screaming, fire!
Oh, dude, Javier Milei is
I love that guy.
Oh,
everybody loves that guy.
Like, please, can we have that here, please, please, please?
Yeah, it's just it's because you could. That line's just going to get more and more divided, and that's why, like, she's obviously terrible, right? Hey, Vex, good to see you. We were just talking about, you must have heard his free bleeding liberal training like Leon on a politics panel. That's why he's here.
I'm the ESG diversity hire, so this doesn't get taken down like the stream that you were on.
Ooh, we cover the full spectrum up here. Why not? But
I'm on a lot of spectrums.
But you guys are so unique in sort of the way everything's going, to the point where she is bad. It seems obvious even to me that she's a joke. Like, she's really a joke, and she didn't even legitimately get this, which I want to talk about later too.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter, because people are already dug in, and they could put a Cocker Spaniel up. And
that is my
Zach,
theory.
they did.
They already know. I think the left has, in fact, resigned themselves to losing, and they are throwing Kamala effectively to the wayside because they don't want to waste a potential good candidate that they can use against either Vivek Ramaswamy or JD Vance or someone in 2028. And in 2028, they've got Pete Buttigieg or somebody along that line that might be able to go. It would be fucking terrible.
I know.
But yeah, so I actually think the left has given up on the 2024 election, and Kamala is quite literally just a dog and pony show, and they've accepted that Trump's going to win.
Well, and that's why Tim Walz is a VP pick.
Well, no, Tim Walz is a VP pick because she couldn't pick somebody Jewish. That would alienate.
I don't think he would have accepted it, and I don't think Whitmer would have accepted it, and I don't think Newsom would have accepted it, because they have aspirations for the presidency themselves.
But do you think Shapiro would have accepted it if he was offered?
Living in California, I think Newsom is pissed he didn't get
he's so butthurt about that. It's hilarious.
He had work done.
He's another one they could run in 2028. He's another one they could run in 2028 against Vivek or JD Vance, and that would be, unfortunately, he is a smooth enough talker. He is a good enough looking guy. He would unfortunately be. I'm not saying his policies. I mean, his policies fucking.
No, you
terrible.
saw the debate with DeSantis. DeSantis, who is not a fire breather, destroyed Newsom.
Yeah, but we're talking about leftist voters.
Like an idiot.
We're talking about leftist voters. I never credited them with an overabundance of brains.
I retract my statement. You're right. It's leftist voters. I know.
No, I think there was a strategic failure in the sense that, like, let's be honest, Trump is not the sharpest at the moment. I think Newsom would have probably made Trump look pretty bad a bunch of times. But in 2028, he's going to be going up against DeSantis or Vivek or Vance, who are going to shred Newsom. Like that, there was a strategy here to play Newsom against Trump, and then go in a different direction in 2028, and they blew it. And, I
don't know what I'm looking at.
This will always be my Kamala.
Your Kamala.
It's interesting because there was and Brahma, you probably have more info on this than I do, but the schism in the Democratic Party between the Obamas, the Bidens,
the Obamas, Pelosi, the Bidens, and Kamala. I mean, we all know it was a coup. I mean, we know Pelosi has admitted it. We know that Obama really can't stand Biden, and I'm not sure he really likes Kamala either. That's why I think there's a throwaway election for them. Because Obama was looking for his 4th straight presidency, and now he's not going to get it. But I mean, Zach, what you were saying about, I mean, they could throw in a poodle.
Yeah,
they did. That's what Joe Biden was,
and it worked.
I mean, Obama essentially got his third term out of Biden.
But it didn't work it didn't work because he was how do I want to phrase this? Basically, because people were so poisoned over the last 6 months or so of Trump's presidency due to COVID, people just wanted something different. Now, frankly, how they came to that conclusion makes no damn sense to me because it was a global thing that also wasn't a big deal, but media caught that up. But it's basically just anybody would have beaten Trump purely because of COVID. That's an unfortunate reality.
So then
they dismissed it 3.5 years before COVID.
To an extent, I think there are some demographic things with Buttigieg.
And I'm still not willing to concede that he lost.
Oh, well, I actually, Brahma, I'm 100% with you on that, quite honestly.
Josh!
Well, out of curiosity, what do you mean when you say lost? Because, I will concede he lost, but I say he lost because they changed the rules at the 11th hour. And that's
which is against election rules.
I agree, but unfortunately, the right didn't call them on it, didn't check them on it. So
no, they did, Leon.
We did a terrible job. I agree.
They did. They tried to challenge before the election and were told they had no standing because nothing had actually happened yet because the election hadn't happened. Then when they went in after the election to challenge, they were told they had no standing. I mean, there was never any rulings. It was just, no, you can't actually challenge before or after the election.
Which, by the way, you can. It's laid out in our documents that you absolutely can do that. Which is insane. But the reason I think that is because there were a lot of right-leaning individuals that it's the Uniparty. They didn't like Trump. They didn't want Trump, so they were not willing to go whole hard with the challenging the election results because they wanted Trump out just as much as the left was because it's the fucking Uniparty.
Right.
The establishment people. It's the establishment people. The Mitch McConnell.
When I say the right didn't go hard enough on challenging the left, I'm speaking of the Uniparty right. Maybe I should have specified.
Okay.
I think the wildest thing of this election cycle has been just seeing people like Liz Cheney is Dorsey Kamala.
And the Democrats all love the Cheneys now.
Yeah, that's wild. Because I remember everyone hated Dick Cheney. He was like Darth Vader.
They still do.
Still hate Dick Cheney.
Dude, John fucking Leibowitz Stewart, fucking calling out. Who is it? Tim Walz on. We have everybody on the political spectrum from Taylor Swift to Dick Cheney, and he goes, "Yeah, you're proud of that Dick Cheney choice?" And he goes, "Yeah, Dick Cheney's a well-established guy. He reaches out to a broader spectrum than Taylor Swift."
You can't come on here and equate Swift with Cheney.
Yeah. What is it?
Dick must have got promised another heart or something for going on board with this.
Right.
Or he just gets to go on another human hunt.
Right. The line, "Which two nations did Taylor Swift invade?" on Jon Stewart had me dying. The first time I have laughed at a Jon Stewart clip in probably 15 years.
If ever, yeah.
It's so that from my perspective too, that's odd because I remember Hillary also said that she didn't lose and that it was stolen. But that
Right.
and that was like and that was still being talked about through 2020. And like it's okay to talk about that and you don't like lose your job or whatever. But then the same thing was being said the other side, and it was like you lose your channel on YouTube if you even talked about it.
It's the
Basically,
control of the
And
media.
elections have been
It's
challenged.
wild.
before. I could be wrong, but I believe the Kennedy election in the 60s was challenged. I think that was the right.
Chicago.
The Democrats have challenged
Chicago,
every election since
election.
2000.
SCOTUS decided Bush Gore. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
like the idea that we can't challenge elections is nonsense. But
Yeah, and they literally used the exact same method that the Republicans were looking at using in 2020 in multiple elections. The thing is, when a congressman stands up and says, yeah, we would like to challenge, our state's electors, a senator has to stand up alongside them and say, I agree, we need to challenge these electors, which is what the Republicans were doing. We had gotten through, 2 states that had already challenged before the J6 crap. But
didn't Texas
in
try
the
suing
past, the
Pennsylvania?
Democrats never could get a senator to stand up with them when they were challenging electors. That's why it had never gotten as far as it had on this last election.
And Brown, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Texas try suing Pennsylvania over this?
yeah.
Yeah, about having a false slate of electors. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was thrown out by the courts. Like, no, you can't.
Yeah, the states have no standing against other states, even when it means what the federal election and who's going to run our whole country is. The states apparently have no standing to talk about that and say, yeah, we don't agree that they ran their elections in a legal way.
Just quickly, timescale. So this is, unfortunately, as much as I joke about it, that I voted for Biden 500 times, I don't actually get to vote in the American election because I'm Canadian.
I thought you did.
And so this
I
is
was
not a
fairly
thing to get.
certain that you did. I signed your papers.
I mean, I did. Okay. There's a lady in Minnesota. She's Muslim and she just takes ballots, $50 a ballot. Not bad. But really I can't. So this is not a echo chamber thing to convince me anything. I want to understand the process of how these things work. And it doesn't matter what party you're talking about. I don't get to vote. So I'm not going to be swayed either way. And if I could be, I'd maybe vote for both. Who could say? Get as many votes as you want.
No, sir. No.
So besides, I am a former lefty. If that makes you feel any better. Like I was all on that Obama train. So I've got lots of experience with it. So.
And what I want to know about this is how, like, why is Kamala Harris? Because this is what it looks like for me. So the primary system I don't really understand, but because ours are like our system is way more like maybe. The Democrats maybe want to make it where we don't get to pick our prime minister. A party gets elected, then they pick a prime minister for us. We don't have any say in that at all. So that's what we do. I'm used to that system already, and that's kind of what it seems like what happening with this, because Biden was incompetent to run because he's senile, and then I don't know that.
They're supposed to challenge his competency with the 23rd Amendment, and that never happened.
25th.
The 25th. Thank you. My bad.
I'm still alive, so good. So, but he's still president right now,
right? Yes. Which
no
is where it all that's where it all falls apart. That's where it all falls apart. They had a primary. He got 14 million votes. He earned all of the delegates for the Democratic Party. There was a coup. Kamala, Nancy Pelosi, everybody went in and said, yeah, you are losing and we're going to lose the Senate and the House if you run. So then they make a decision on who they're going to say is in. Then they had a Zoom call. The convention is where you're actually supposed to count the delegates for each person. They had a Zoom call before the convention and just said, okay, everybody's voting for Kamala, right? Yep. Okay. Kamala's in. Because she was the only one who could touch the $30 million war chest that they had for Biden and Kamala's campaign.
And even that is up for debate, to be fair.
Which it still doesn't make any sense because she's raised supposedly $1 billion since then. So what does the 30 million even really matter? That's where it also makes you question, is this even a real thing? Are they even really trying?
So on this point, real quick, Dempsey. I'm sorry to cut you off, Brian. I'm glad you highlight this next. In 2016, I did vote third party. That was so I actually I went from left to middle, third party to right. I didn't vote for the right. I didn't vote for Trump until 2020. In the 2016 election, I voted Gary Johnson. So yeah, in terms of people voting third party, I can't stand that misnomer, because if you had enough people that were actually willing to do so, we could have.
Bigoted.
Oh,
Bigoted.
right.
What's up, bigoted?
What's up, bigots?
Thanks.
Yeah, no, I think a third party candidate could be completely viable if the media would stop on both sides, Fox, CNN, the whole nine, pushing a 2-party narrative. I think Gary Johnson would have been a fantastic president.
In reality, aren't we kind of seeing that, though? Because the coalition that Trump is putting together looks like it's going to form a third party, not continue the old Republican Party. Because the rhinos are pissed, and Trump is pulling in people that never would have been anywhere near a Republican.
MAGA is effectively a uniparty to fight the uniparty. Like,
quick hello to the Raiders. Hold on.
Well, I'm packing up my cane and I'm head out west. With real women call me grip, script and fake press. Find a nest in the hills, chill like Flint. Buy an old drop top, find a spot.
No vex.
Thank you, Raiders, and welcome. Sorry, go back to where so you guys are all voting for Kamala Harris.
Obviously.
Really? Because of the commercial. I couldn't
right, yes.
after I saw that commercial.
Because men, yes, right. Thank you, Raiders. So let's go on. I want to understand how this actually happened, or try to.
Which part?
That was essentially it. How she got in. They needed the money.
Yeah.
But how does that happen with everyone accepts it?
Because the Democrats are sheep.
So there's an interesting breakdown here.
Okay.
When the Democrats pick their nominee for president, they have something that's called superdelegates. That Republicans don't have. Where the Democrats just have a bunch of people, well-respected people in the party, that vote for a candidate.
Okay.
That's completely independent from the primary votes of the state.
And they have more weight than a regular delegate, essentially.
Right.
Yeah, so basically, it's something like 60% of the Democrats. Somebody check my math on this. 60% of the vote is the state primary. 40% is these super delegates. And so long as the Democrats can get all of their super delegates on board one candidate, they can basically pick their candidate without involving the electorate at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it was through that.
Think Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton.
Yes, exactly. So
they killed poor Bernie.
Yeah,
or if you watched season 3 of House of Cards, this whole election has reminded me of House of Cards, like something fierce. Like this could have been an entire season. Well, the president's so old, we have to get him out, and then you bring in the entirely incompetent VP because they hate the guy that everybody loves,
right.
in the Trump character.
It was like a party problem because I knew somebody that was like an actual delegate voter when Ron Paul was running for president. And he said like everyone there was like voting for him and they just did not want him to be the candidate. And the party said no at the end. And I don't know what they did to make it seem like it was something legal, but he was like, that was his like, okay, I'm done with the government.
Well, Ron Paul or Rand Paul was. I'm getting my.
No, this was Ron Paul. Like this was way back today. Yeah,
the dad. No, he was running as a third party candidate. Though third party candidates, and as much as it is what it is, they are not going to have a chance in the proper elections. It's structured so badly against them. Leon, I think you brought it right now that Trump with the coalition of Brahma, you brought it up. The coalition he's bringing forward right now is the best. Almost third-party candidate that we've ever had.
And when you have a third-party candidate that has a lot of clout behind them, like a Ron Paul, or in what we've seen, an RFK Jr.,
Ross Perot,
actually, they will never win, but they are powerful enough to sway the election one way or the other. And there was no doubt in my mind that if RFK had stayed independent and hadn't dropped out to join Trump, that it would have been a slam dunk for Trump. He would have it would have been the Ross Perot effect, but modern day, and it would have taken from the left instead. That is 100% what would have happened.
Right, but I mean, if you're interested in a third party, what RFK did is essentially exactly what a third party is supposed to do in an election. RFK was taking enough of the electorate to make an impact. So now he's going to be in Trump's cabinet because Trump basically made a deal with him. You drop out, you endorse me, and you're going to get a voice in the government that you wouldn't have had because you weren't going to be president.
Oh yeah, there's the context from Josh. Thanks.
This is like HBO level stuff that's happening, but it's happening for real, and these pieces are being moved around, and everyone kind of knows about it, and they're just kind of okay with it.
It's moving too fast to really fight it. I mean,
well, also you're making assumptions that people really know what's going on.
True, right?
10% of the American populace is aware of what's actually going on with the electoral process. 5% are hyper involved.
Right.
The other 90% are just kind of going, "Oh yeah," and they're watching the general. You know,
that's why they're doing it so openly. That's why they're being so brazen and not hiding anything. Is because they know that 90% that Roman is referring to aren't paying attention, or they don't give a shit. So they can be brazen and do this out in the open.
The expression
that's the difference between the HBO analogy made in real life. As an HBO, it's all done sneaky cloak and dagger, as opposed to they can openly do it in real life because people are retarded.
So do you think they would do a primary next time then?
They do a primary for every election.
But if it doesn't matter, like if you could just swap it out after.
They'll do it with a wink and nod like they did this time if they need to.
They're required to hold a primary, but the way the Democratic primary works is they go state by state. People vote for the candidate, and then when they get to their convention, they look at it and they say, well, okay, 40% of our superdelegates support the candidate that the party bigwigs want, and so long as in the 60% of the vote they can cobble together 10%, which they can always do, they can always pick the candidate that the party wants.
What should have happened, Zax, is called a contested convention.
Okay.
Where on the convention floor, anybody that is nominated or wants to be nominated for the Democrat primary to replace Biden should have been put on the convention floor. And instead of a whole bunch of speeches happening, which is what conventions have turned into, the convention would be, they fight it out during the convention until somebody gets the majority of the delegates. Instead, they did it over a Zoom phone call.
Okay.
The party leaders basically just said, "This is how it's going to go. This is what you're doing."
That's not
and
fair.
that's why you got that push.
They did it over a Zoom phone call because everyone's so afraid of deadly COVID. I think that was the safe move. Social distancing is important, Brahmabull. Come on now.
And then immediately went into a convention.
Yes.
But they negated their convention, which, quite frankly, they shouldn't have been allowed to do. It should have had to move forward. And I know party rules are party rules, but that was I go back to House of Cards because it really is a good example of effed up American politics. That was when season
what?
When they
did you see
they had an abortion truck outside of the DNC.
Oh, of course,
what?
Yeah, it was a It had like a giant blow up. Like what was it? Like a IUD or something?
You could get they had IUDs walking around in costumes. You could get an abortion at the DNC, or you could get a mastectomy.
And it was quite literally a food truck, but instead
it was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
You just walk in.
They didn't show the
20-minute
statue of
procedure.
Moloch
Walk
behind
out.
all of this.
28 babies aborted during the DNC.
Okay, but so people.
He's broken. We broke him, guys.
So people go to a truck and get an appointment for an abortion, or they go and get an abortion.
No, it's just walk in. Just by walking at the convention, because
Yeah, and they had a big parade about it with women dressing up again, and it's like this has become a death cult. It's disturbing.
Yeah,
you're going in to get nachos.
I've got a side hustle. I've got a side hustle now because I live on the second floor of an apartment with wooden stairs. I'm going to start offering $50. I'll push you down the stairs, and I'll just start doing it that way. And we're on.
Is that like your version of Maid, Leon?
See, I was going to say that. I'm a
compassionate death.
I'm in Canada. We don't even have maid trucks for adults.
Right.
We don't have that yet.
But I mean, while this is going on at their convention, Tim Walz is out there saying that Trump and JD Vance are weird.
Oh yeah, why is it weird? Oh, they're weird. They keep trying to make
Walz, who's ended up being the weirdest dude on the planet over the past 2 months.
Lord, every time he prances out
that's
on
not the
stage,
worst thing
I
to
keep
sing.
waiting for Showgirls music. Did you see him trying to load the shotgun, by the way?
Did you see
Bravo.
him trying to make comments about Elon Musk yesterday?
Oh, when he called him a dipshit.
And he's
That
jumping
was-
around on the stage and skipping and jumping like a dipshit. And then you just go watch every entrance Tim Walz has done to any event.
Isn't he in trouble for something back home in Minnesota? Didn't he something with the school board or something like that?
Yeah, there's some
Okay, so
Nobody cares.
There are unsubstantiated allegations of inappropriate contact with students when he was there, but they are
shocking.
He was a straight man leading his high school's gay student alliance voluntarily.
Odd choice. Yes, that's an odd choice.
I'm still stuck on the abortion truck.
I know
Yeah,
that is.
you should be.
that is
Okay, so
awful.
here's the wild thing about the abortion aspect is since day one of this ongoing campaign, Trump has said he will not, and he has repeated this ad nauseum, institute a national abortion ban. This has been a statement for literal months, and you still have Kamala and Walz going on these going on their press events and their speeches saying if you don't vote for us, Trump is going to institute a national abortion ban. It is an outright lie. It has been Trump's whole thing was we overturned Roe v. Wade, we left it to the states.
The
That's
choice
where
went
it
to the
needs
states.
stay, which I don't even necessarily know if I agree with, but that's where we're at right now. Fair enough. It's such a blatant lie, and even who was it? I believe it was a Fox interview where they called him out on that, where they asked Kamala about that. Someone did recently. Was it the Fox interview? Brahmabull maybe
May
you
have
can
been
help me out.
NBC.
Honestly, it'd be shocking, but it may have been NBC. But yeah, so
Hey,
somebody
Blair.
they were asking.
Oh, I think it was. Brahma.
Could have been the BJ stream too.
The National Public Radio interview she just did was surprisingly harsh because first of all it's National Public Radio, which is it's government radio. They can say it's not, but it is.
Yeah.
But I've been surprised at how hard, and it's not hard, the opposition journalists have gone at her, where they've thrown questions at her and not just taken her bumbling answer as the answer, where they look for follow-up.
Tried to press her.
But that does tell you maybe that this ain't your gal. If they're doing that, it's like it's a subtle, not this one.
Well, the thing is, in a normal campaign year, she would have gotten these questions during the primary. And just like in 2016, when she was in the primary and she never garnered a single delegate's vote, never even got to the first states voting, people did not like her. So now the media is in this weird world right now where they have to try to make her look good because they want her to win. But at the same time, they have to treat her almost like it's a primary because nobody knows what she actually thinks because she has,
because she has no policies. Compare her
2020,
now.
not 2016.
Yeah,
Which is right.
I was going to bring that up. So there were two things in 2020 that really, really astounded me in a good way when it comes to the Democrats. Because I vehemently disagree with almost all of Andrew Yang's policies. I donated to his campaign because he was still, I just wanted to see him succeed over Biden, Kamala, the whole nine. And even if I disagree with his policies, his website had like 40 pages worth of policies. Now that's awful because that's a whole lot of government power, and I'm not about that. But the fact of the matter is, he at least had a well thought out campaign that had all that, and I respected it even if I disagree with it. And then you go on the other side of the aisle, or not other side of the aisle, but other side of the same party had Tulsi Gabbard, who fucking bodied Kamala, just absolutely destroyed her. There's a reason that they are having to rebuild Kamala as if she's never been around before because she got so eviscerated in 2020. She was an afterthought. She got less than 1% of the vote, and now she's on the way to be president.
DEI.
No, that's full DEI. Yeah, because
And it's not us calling her DEI. It was Joe Biden calling her DEI.
Yes, he said he would pick a woman of color.
Okay, you guys, are you ready for this? I am fully here for Joe Biden's old man, inappropriate, totally racist, dementia rant. I am so here for that. Just straight up when he just comes, loses it all.
He kept that MAGA hat. I'm just saying, there's a message there.
funny.
I did see that NBC interview with her,
He's
which
pissed.
was they actually asked her questions, which is something, and they pressed her on her answers. One of them was it was about paying for trans people, illegal immigrants who were in prison to transition. That's what it was.
Right.
And she
Yeah.
couldn't answer that question. And so I have a
Something
poll in
she
the
was
chat.
super proud of as the district attorney in California.
Oh,
She
kids-
said, "I got this done." There was this
You know
guy
how
who
many, like,
really needed the surgery, but
because of her. Oh my god.
what, Lady B?
Oh,
Didn't
I'm
hear you.
just saying the number of convictions that were vacated when she was the Attorney General of California. Like, it's awful.
I mean-
I mean, she put like she
And
would
she kept
arrest
people in jail to use as slave
women
labor.
because they couldn't get their freaking kids to school for being truancy. So like, we're gonna arrest your mom and this kid that's living on the street. Like, what a monster.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or extending prison sentences of black males who were in there just for smoking weed so they could have cheap labor. Like that's
Cheap
enough.
labor.
Oh yeah, she said that too. You know, it was
No,
like,
she did it. She didn't just say it. She did that.
yeah, she did it. She did it and said it. Yeah.
And Boosh, by the way, you are correct.
Jenna.
Kamala did in fact call Joe Biden a rapist. Sorry, continue, Zach.
No, if you guys want to answer this question, it's up to you. I'm not. I can't force people to answer questions. That's not the deal here.
What
The way
crimes?
America works is innocent until proven guilty. Right now, he has not been proven guilty of anything. So no, he does not deserve prison time. Diddy doesn't even deserve prison time until he's innocent until proven guilty. He just needs jail time.
And
What
I
do you
would
call
again
crimes?
ask what crimes.
Exactly. It's like the stuff like if the stuff that they want to prosecute Trump for is stuff that like literally every politician that's ever been should be prosecuted for. And it's like I say put them all in prison, but you know,
They changed statutes of limitation to do this, though. They
Let's actually-
changed the law to prosecute him. That tells you how inviolable these allegations are. They changed the law to prosecute him.
But let's actually
That's-
break it down.
Yeah, I was going to say, go through it charge by charge.
The E. Jean Carroll thing is a civil case. I mean, there's not a crime there. He got civilly, a punitive damage for something that doesn't seem to have happened, but a jury in New York decided, okay. And the judge threw out all the different rules for how you have to come to that decision and just said, if he's guilty of anything, he's probably guilty, right?
In
Then you
addition, statute of limitations were that the law
statute of
was
limitations said,
changed.
yep.
He's the only person that has been charged using that law. Literally the only single person.
Timescales.
This is from Jana, by the way.
Oh, no, timescales. But that has been appealed, and it's going in for additional hearings. There's a reason they put it after the election is because of the appeal. And even if he is convicted, since it's after the election, it's kind of a non-issue at this point.
Which one?
He's talking about the
39
documents case.
Hey,
So
this
it's-
is thank you, Jennifer.
About
This
which
is so
case?
strange. This whole thing.
The documents case.
Yeah, and that one's got its own issues. It's not even going to end up really happening because Jack Smith was never allowed to be a special prosecutor. He was not appointed and not brought before the Senate to be confirmed. He's not able to be a special prosecutor. Those cases will be thrown out. Whether you think he's guilty of something or not. Also, why wasn't Joe Biden brought up on the same thing? Because he wasn't even president when he had confidential information,
He was a nice old
he's
man
talking
who-
about-
classified information.
You're talking about the record keeping crimes, which you are correct. We have
Hey, Tina.
never ever prosecuted a politician for taking documents home from work. Has never happened in the history of the country. He's talking about the New York document payments, which this is again one of those things that is a novel legal strategy of saying we think you committed a crime federally, so we're going to use the crime federally as an escalator for a state crime, something that again has never happened before in the history of that law. It's then going to, it's being appealed right now. And from the sounds of things, it sounds like it may very well get tossed. And then the other problem that I think we all have with this is if it was a crime for Trump to say that something was a legal expense for his lawyer to take care of a problem, why was Hillary Clinton's campaign and Hillary Clinton not charged with the same thing when she paid to have the Steele dossier made and moved into the FBI? So if we're going to say that, mislabeling things as part of running and campaigning for president is now a state crime, this needs to be applied to everybody else and not just one candidate.
Okay, so I have a poll right now in the chat. It's, would Kamala have won a primary? Yes, 2%, no, 37 or 67%, and abortion truck, question mark, 31%.
And we already saw her run in a primary, and she never made it to Iowa.
That's a pretty strong answer. So this, do you think this was planned to have Biden win and then have a, was that always the plan, would you guys say?
No, I think he intended to run. He had originally said he would be a transitional president and would only do 4 years, but he got it into his head that he's the only person who's ever beat Trump, so he's the only one who could do it again. I don't even think Trump would have run again if they didn't start the lawfare crap. I think the Democrats screwed themselves into this situation by doing the lawfare, and yeah, you put Trump back on the national stage, and he ate up everybody. You would have been going against DeSantis, and then Biden wouldn't have run because it wouldn't have been against Trump. And I think Biden is trying to sabotage her a little bit because I think he wants his legacy to be, I'm the only person who ever beat Trump.
I don't even know that he wants his legacy to be about beating. Oh, sorry, go on.
Tell me if this is what you were going to say as well. I don't think it's about his legacy being, I'm the only one to beat Trump. I think he's probably pretty fucking bitter they cooed him out of the presidency.
Well, there's that too, yeah. But now that he's been cooed out, I think that's what he's thinking is, no, I don't want her to win because I still can at least hang my hat on that. I was the savior of the Democrats in their mind.
Yeah.
If Biden had planned on being a one-term president, he would not have picked Kamala as his VP. He would have picked some other more viable candidate. Picking her, it filled a slot. But if you want to have legacy for her to follow you, that ain't your freaking gal.
She was insurance.
And real quick, time scales.
You guys are welcome.
I don't know if you know this or not. So Trump actually ran in the 2012 election. Just like he was one of the very first to drop out. He was first or second to drop out. But his 2016 campaign wasn't even his first time running.
Yeah, I think he also ran in 92.
I do not remember.
I don't recall.
I don't know about that, but I just don't know. It very well could be true. I just don't know. But he 100% ran in 2012.
You know what I think is the worst part of this situation is that we are now in the stage of the collapse where people are changing the laws to prosecute their political enemies. And this is very, very disturbing because, in a few years, like the definitions of who they think is like a threat or whatever is going to be like, I don't know. They change it, they redefine it, and it's going to happen to us, and it's going to be really freaking awful. And there's all these other things. I mean, think about what did they hire? Like
87,000.
Yeah, that's
IRS agents. And I don't know about you guys, but there's everything right now. Like everyone I know is having tax issues. It's like, and a lot of it is the government isn't giving them money back that they owed.
They hired 87,000 agents to go after the 400 billionaires in the country, according to them.
Billionaires,
why would you need 87,000 armed IRS agents?
Yeah, they are armed
to go after 400 billionaires and not going after, say, tips.
So this is one of those things that I will always add context to that. That 87,000 was not exclusively new agents. That was 87,000 agents for new agents and 5 years of replacement for retirees and transfers out. So
we don't need more tax agents and we don't need a replacement.
It's still a lot of people. It's still a lot of bodies.
I'm for the abolishment of the IRS.
I was going to say, in the Fed, in the IRS, yeah.
If 10% is good enough for God, it's good enough for the American government.
There you go. Flat tax, 10%. Boom. It's solved. We just solved the tax problem.
Taxes
I
and
put
stealing.
I put a tweet in the private chat that's kind of a meme that kind of looks at the history of how the Democrats have looked at Republicans and how this is not much different what's going on today.
Okay.
Woodrow Wilson.
Let me look here. Oh, first of all, actually, got some people have some super chats. I owe you some videos. So thanks for the bigot army raid. You guys are fantastic. I got coming people. I don't know if you're a raider or not, but thanks for coming. Thanks for the $5, £5, proper money. We got Bayat Wolf 19, $2, $2. Thank you, bigot. Clap your cheeks. Thank you very much, bigot army. Optimistic pessimism. Got you here. Gal Pal Val. Thank you for the gift of membership. And then we got the Flatlander. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to play a couple of clips for you. This first one is I guess it's one of my personal favorites. So we'll do this one.
This is you as an All-American and a big opportunity for you in Hollywood. You must have had to beat off a lot of American men to get this part. Why does that make you giggle? Did you not have to beat them off?
You
With a
had
big
to get
stick?
the role.
So that's one. That's a good one. Then of course this classic.
That's a good one.
KTVU has just learned the names of the 4 pilots who were on board the flight. They are Captain Sum Ting Wong, Wee Tu Lo, Ho Lee Fook, and Bang Ding Ao.
That's
I
so
love
funny.
that one.
It's so funny.
It's funny every time.
It just
Like
works.
she just doesn't. There's nothing on there. Like.
In the private chat, I got you here, Brahmabull. Tweet.
You sent us,
took us to
you
your
sent us a
bookmarks.
link to his bookmarks, which take
Yeah.
us to all
Oh,
bookmarks.
I'm sorry. Give me a second.
Oh Lord.
I thought I clicked on it to where I got the status. not the
Interestingly
bookmark.
enough, I got the Ubisoft clip. So that's
There you
this
go.
is what comes up for me when I do that. It's kind of funny. This was last week's show, but it's Ubisoft. Their DEI.
Yeah.
That's what came up for me. So just as good. Just as good. Yeah.
It's like the American government right now.
Congrats, Ubisoft.
It is wild to me how Ubisoft is losing money at a rate that's just unfathomable.
It should
love
be
it.
unfathomable. Holy shit, I got a whole bunch of gifted memberships here. Stormbringer, 20 gifted memberships. Holy shit.
Dude, is that an Elric of Melnibone
Wow.
reference?
I gotta bet I get that up there.
Elric of Melnibone. Say fast.
Lucy Lemonbug 25 gifted memberships. Thank you very much, Stormbringer. I've got to get your. I can't.
And Lucy, again, we love the photo, girly. Just keep it up.
Yeah, that is a very
Yeah,
special
it's
photo.
a nice avatar.
Stormbringer 20
Oh
gifted
yeah,
memberships.
it's Elric. Yeah, that's my boy.
There it
Elric,
is.
man. Dude, I love Elric. He's great.
Yeah, fantasy talk. It's always good around here. Dempsey, thank you. I like the news anchor and the toothbrush story. Okay, well I can play that one for
North
these ones
American
as
skin
well.
flu.
Yes, we all just got to pray just for 4 years. Whoever is in office, we can finally have some new election people. What's the most? That's what most normal people want.
Yeah,
And-
after your clip, we should address that because there's some things to talk about after this election.
But thank you, Lucy Lemonbug is one Stormbringer. So this is going to be for you, Lucy. This is a good one. It's the skin flute.
Photojournalist Brad Rice shows us how a forestry instructor gets his students to make and play the North American the flute in this Traveling West Virginia segment.
And then this is
so
for
funny.
When my son was teething, he used to like to take the big fat rubber end of my vibrating toothbrush and put it in his mouth and he'd just kind of sit there like, oh yeah, that feels good. That hit the spot. My gums are itchy. And he'd sit there with
Oh yeah, that hit
like,
the
what are
spot.
you doing?
Oh yeah.
That's classic Canadian news for you right there, people.
It is.
That's how we cover the hard hitting stories of the day
Right.
Really?
up here. So I do want to talk about something else if we get to it tonight, which is immigration. I think that's an easy one, right?
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
toss up.
man, dude, I went to Toronto.
I'm in
recently.
California. They're coming over my fence right now.
Just
What do you
guys
wanna
okay
know,
to talk
Zach?
about that? I want to know that. Okay, so this is what I've been looking at this, watching, trying to get all sides of this issue as best I can. And what I keep coming back to is, this is like a primary voting issue for a lot of people. It seems
It is the
And-
number 2 issue in the country behind the economy. Right now.
Right, which should be like number one
And the
for
two
everyone
are
all the time.
intrinsically tied together. So
also true. Yes.
And that's, to me, I found it interesting because you guys are all citizens, right? This is like, take the racial stuff aside, which has now become part of it, but you're a citizen of the US. So you guys should be, I would expect you're voting based on what's going to help you and people who are currently citizens of your country. That's how elections normally, that's the given, right? But for your number two issue is
That's
like,
not how lefties look at the world.
Not how leftists do. No.
And so we don't have the same issue. You guys have an interesting situation because of where you are, because you're bordering Central America, South America. They can move right up to you. To get to us, it's an even longer trip.
What the hell do you mean we don't have the same issue? Have you been to a Tim Hortons recently?
Well, yeah, they're not. I mean, I don't recommend Tim Hortons that much actually, but
we have the exact same issues. Ours are just Mexican and yours are Indian.
Ours are a lot more than Mexican and South American.
Yeah, ours are individuals from China and Africa being shipped to South America to cross the border from from Mexico.
Chinese,
Our
Chinese
government
major
ships people
Diego
from their
crossings,
countries into the U.S. now too. Like
But-
they're just straight up flying them in now.
right. So how did it get to
Yeah.
the point where people are voting based on, I want to make sure that this is the best for people who are currently have broken a law of some kind to be here or would like to get in here the wrong way in the future? It's because here, like in Canada, it's way more diverse in that it's people from fucking everywhere at this point now. And so like I have people who were born here, Chinese or neighbors. I have people who are across the street who are from China who moved here, and like I've never once heard them talk about like getting together and voting for whoever may let the most Chinese people into the country, like
This is
illegally.
going to sound-
But you guys have that there,
You
which
say
is so
illegally,
strange.
You say illegally, but this is going to sound like a hyperbolic answer, but it is not. There has been a proliferation of Marxist ideology that believes there is no such thing as borders. Therefore, it is not illegal to come in here because if borders don't exist, you can't have a law about borders.
Right. It's a globalist ideal. It's a WEF. It's a lot of things.
Killing the Western civilization.
But ultimately, ultimately, what it is so
I'm seeing
most
people who
Democrat
vote-
voters. Go ahead. Sorry.
People are campaigning for like, we want to have more open borders. We want to make sure that more people can get through here. And it's like from usually like Mexico or but even Mexico does not have open borders. But so they're all siphoning, they're jumping to you guys, and people want to leave that door open when you have people who are legally trying to get in and can't. And Vex, for example, who is married to an American and she's Canadian and you'd think she would be an easier person to come in. She can't. And the whole thing is, I don't really understand why people are choosing to vote. Like, you can still want to help other people. That's great. And it's not being racist to have, I want to have a border like across Mexico that we defend and only people can come in who we check first. That's like common sense stuff. It's because you have people who are from those areas who are American citizens who you'd think would be voting for other American citizens. Am I crazy?
No.
No.
So as far as I can tell, there are 5 groups of people that support unlimited illegal immigration.
Okay.
There is your standard variety shitlib who it makes them feel good to help the brown people. And they don't understand second order effects in the economy, how supply and demand of labor lowers wages. They just know that it makes them feel good. That's one group. Your second group is your Democratic Party runners in general, the people who make the decisions. They look at it as, we need to get as many brown people into the country as possible, and then we need to either get them voting via methods where we can't track it so that they're voting illegally, or we need to get them citizenship immediately so that they can vote for us. So there's a political motivation to do.
Not even get them citizenship, since a lot of the cities they're being sent to are not checking voter IDs. They don't
IDs in
care if
general.
there's illegal individuals voting.
Yes.
But yeah.
Voting is such a joke.
So there's that aspect.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Yeah, there is also our foreign enemies who understand that 10 million people who are essentially freeloaders vastly weaken our nation. If we are weaker, they are relatively stronger. So one of the big problems that we have with our strong free speech laws is that China, Russia, Iran, even Israel can use money to influence our politics. And all of those groups push those ideas forward.
Right.
Now, there's a fourth group, and this is the one that I think many of us on the Republican side need to look in the mirror on, which is the big business Republicans like illegal immigration, because for the very same reason, it allows them to push labor costs down, which is why, there was the story recently about the Haitians in Springfield, Ohio. And the factory that was employing the Haitians for $13 an hour rather than the Americans for $28, because the government was subsidizing the rest of that $15. That person, well, I can't say what should have happened to that person because it would get your channel taken down. But there was a time where this was handled extrajudiciously, if you understand what I'm saying.
Can I add something real quick?
I
think there's a secondary issue to immigration that used to get harped on a lot, but isn't talked about near as much anymore. But it is a much bigger issue in terms of overall culture, because there is a cultural identity crisis in America right now due to the division. And if we had an agreed upon unified culture, honestly based on the Constitution, but it should be, and individuals want to come in and assimilate and be part of that culture, and do it legally, nobody would give a fuck about immigration. The problem is the left and the right have vastly different ideas of what culture is, and frankly, the left, in my opinion, is a destruction of culture in a lot of ways, and that is very exploitative of the individuals that want to come in here illegally. So a unified culture that we don't have is a massive strain on why we've got the immigration problems.
Well, and since we're coming,
immigration. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go for it. My point.
We used to do immigration very differently.
Yeah.
They would come over, and if you had a skill set and a sponsor, that's when you could come in. My great-grandparents came over on the boat to Ellis Island. They were the Italian immigrants that had the funny names and had this, made their own ghetto in New York. That's not what happens now, though. I mean, the illegal process aside, that's just like, hey, come on in. But even our legal process is we're not taking people that are going to be a benefit to our country.
Contribute.
We're taking whomever. Whomever is the real problem here, because that's not just that they're here now. Any gain we gain from taxes is minuscule, because that's just sales tax, whatever bullshit. But they are a significant drain on our economy,
absolutely,
because of services that they are now taking from us. Be it welfare of some kind, Social Security, which they never earned but they also get, or whatever myriad of other benefits that they're pulling out of both the state and federal systems. That's what they're doing. They're not bringing, they are taking. And it's unfortunate, because there's probably a small minority that are bringing something, but we're not seeing that anymore. We're just seeing the mass army
anecdotally
sucking off the body.
Anecdotally to that, though, Roman, so my best friend, his wife is Chinese. Now, she came here, she's 31. She came here when she was 15 as a foreign exchange student, then stayed. She was going to church every Sunday. She was with a good Midwestern home. She is 100% indoctrinated, as if that's a bad thing, into American values, cultures, lifestyles. She is an American. She's ethnically Chinese, but at this point, she is an American. They've since taken her little brother, who is 16 years old. He might be 17 by now. Either way, as their sponsor, he's going through the assimilation process. There's still some things he doesn't get, but through the American lens, he is starting to see all the sort of evils of the CCP that he never obviously saw when he was there. He still doesn't like Dr. Pepper. Apparently our food's too sweet for him, but that's neither here nor there. But he will not, once he graduates high school, he will actually not be allowed to go back to China for an additional 5 years, because they're afraid of the Western ideology infiltrating China, which also doesn't make sense, by the way, to me, because if they give him 5 more years here, wouldn't that just mean more American ideology to take back to China? But either way, so they're now again, indoctrinating, for lack of a better word, him with these American ideals, which are great. These are good things. Like, she has a very well-paying job. She is paying taxes. Shouldn't be, because taxes suck, but she's paying taxes. She's contributing to society. It doesn't fucking matter that she's Chinese. We love the bitch. Like,
yeah.
Do you know how much
You're talking about this much of the immigration process, though? Is the
absolutely.
I know. Do you know how much money you have to make in America before you are contributing to the overall government system in comparison to the services you take out?
I don't know that number.
Well over 200, isn't it? 200,000.
It's like 91,000.
Is it?
So even
Okay.
if you,
trust me, they're contributing. I'll just put it that way. They're contributing.
Yeah.
So Zach's,
That's kind of insane.
Zach, if we take it from the way you've structured the questions tonight.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say earlier is I don't think that most Democrat voters look at immigration the same way. I don't think they're voting to just let immigrants come in, illegal immigrants come in. I just don't think they look at it the same way. What we are looking at it as is there's a whole bunch of different issues with the immigration situation. Because the other thing that you look at is when you're throwing large chunks of people into different areas in the American system, that also changes our elections, because your congressman, the number of congressmen, the number of electoral college votes, all of that is based on population. When we do a census, it is not a census of who is a citizen and who is not. It is counting every person in America. So when you see everybody mass fleeing California, and then you see a whole bunch of illegal immigrants being put into the swing states, that directly affects the voting power of the people in those states. If not now, then down the road.
Well,
the other thing
ironically, from an electoral standpoint, from a collegiate or from a congressional standpoint, that's actually not bad. Because unfortunately, our census counts illegals the same as citizens when determining how many congressmen each state gets. The problem
But they
is,
vote.
well, okay,
That's the problem.
Even
Illegals are voting.
even if they didn't vote, California having 20 million illegals in it,
they affect
means
the
that
number of the total
California has
population.
significantly more members of the House of Representatives, and as a consequence, the Electoral College. So
It
even
waters
if we
down
say-
everybody else's vote.
Yes, even if we say that illegals don't vote, which I think many of us on this panel don't believe,
Right.
merely their presence in California significantly increases the
Changes
weight of
the
the
electorate.
California electorate voting system.
Right. And
hold on, sorry, guys. Roman's got to go, so I have to get him out.
Are we at
Roman.
9? We are. I apologize. I'm expiring like a bad pack of meat right now.
Do not
Had to think of the
apologize,
way to say
Roman.
that, but I did not. Well, thank you for having me on tonight. This was a great conversation.
Thank you, Roman.
You know, I'm in the occupied lands of California myself.
Sorry, buddy.
I'm one of the few where I'm in a red district, but I'm in a red district in a blue land. So it kind of is what it is.
I know,
Yeah,
isn't
we're
it-
always fighting the fight. My son's actively involved in local politics right
Good.
now. I mean, that's his job right now is doing that stuff. So it's a tough gig. It's a tough gig, but I hope we get to have this conversation next year and get to talk about.
And I hope by the
what's
time
going-
you're here next year, you've got an electric car.
Yeah, I think you have to, don't you? Isn't that something that's happening?
Yeah,
So, guys,
not doing that.
all of Roman's links are in the description, but also I've dropped his channel in the chat, so please go sub to him. He has a show tomorrow. I dropped the link for that directly, so he's doing a live stream about zombies tomorrow, which zombie shit is awesome. I love zombie movies. I mean, Walking Dead kind of killed it for me for a while, but otherwise, big fan. Thank you, Roman, for coming on. Please subscribe to him. He needs watch hours, so help him with that too.
Good to see you,
Also
Roman.
true. So, all right, guys, it was nice to see you all. Have a good night and peace out.
Our Navy boys got to go to bed early. What are you going to do?
So the other thing I was going to bring up about this is the talking points from the left right now that are specifically coming from legislators on the left and from Harris to a degree. I mean, so you've got the situation with, like we were just talking about, the Electoral College, all that kind of stuff with the illegals coming in. But the other things that they have stated that they want to do if they get the presidency and the Senate, is immediately abolish the filibuster. I mean, they've already tried it once. They got blocked by two
Manchin,
they were
Sinema.
essentially independents, Manchin and what was it, Sinema?
Yep.
But neither of those are running again.
Like so hardcore.
Yeah, neither of them are running again. They were the only check on getting rid of the filibuster.
Now,
you get
why?
rid of the filibuster, and ultimately, they've already announced that they don't like the Electoral College. They want it to go away. That turns us from being a republic into being essentially an actual democracy where it's mob rule.
Which is not what anyone wants.
Right.
Or shouldn't want.
Well, shouldn't. And so
but
the things that they're working on is, I mean, if you get rid of the filibuster, you can get rid of the Electoral College. You can stack the Supreme Court, go up to 13 justices is what they've said that they want to do.
Supreme Court, regardless of the filibuster or the popular vote versus Electoral College, if you've got a president in there that just doesn't give a fuck about the Constitution.
Right.
Biden talked about doing it. He didn't do it, but he talked about it when he was campaigning.
And then Schumer has multiple times stated that he wants DC and Puerto Rico to become 2 new states. That's 4 new senators that are perpetual Democrat votes. So then you don't even need to worry about the filibuster, because chances are, even if you reinstated the filibuster, you've got enough senators that you can do whatever you want perpetually with that power. You give amnesty to the illegals at that point. They've already talked about that. They want that to happen. Then all those illegals are voting in all the states that they've been put in or moved into, and they all have a citizen's vote. They've also talked about gutting the Second Amendment with a mandatory gun buyback. That's been on Harris's platform up until just 3 months ago.
How will that work out for Australia?
The First Amendment, Waltz has said that hate speech should be prosecuted and it should not be a free speech thing. So, yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, it's not just that there's a whole bunch of illegals here and it messes with our economy, it messes with everything else. It's that the Democrats are trying to set themselves up to be perpetually in power and have a one-party system. That's what this election's coming down to. They've stated exactly what they want to do. They've tried some of it and not been able to get it done, like the filibuster. If you remember, Harry Reid got rid of the original 60 or the original filibuster rule. They rolled it back, and he did it specifically for the justices. For all judges, all federal judge appointments. The Republicans told him it was going to come back to bite him in the ass. He said, "We're doing it anyway." Then Trump gets in, and we get through 3 Supreme Court justices based on not having the filibuster because they decided to dissolve it. It came back and it bit them in the ass, and they got all upset about it. So now we've got to stack the Supreme Court because, oh no, the Republicans actually played by the rules that you guys set out, and now the Supreme Court is leaning conservative. I would not say it's a conservative Supreme Court. It's more like a 3-3-3 court. There's only 3 justices that you can typically depend on the right to be constantly right. Yeah.
So it's been my belief this last couple of years or so that obviously the left is taking they're very much overreaching when it comes to government power, extending their arm where they shouldn't be. Do you think the right should be playing that same game? Do you think the right is they're being too conservative with their power by following the rules, and they should play the left at their own game?
I think the right is horrible at exercising any power. And I think at the moment, what we have to do in this election is play by the rules that they have set out. In the states where you can ballot harvest, you ballot harvest. Agreed. In the states where you can early vote, get out and early vote. Don't do the wait till the last day thing. I have always been somebody who has gone and voted on election day because I kind of like the pageantry of going on election day to vote. But I don't think that the Republicans should play that game this time. I think we need to bank every vote that we can.
That's why Scott Presler is. I think that Scott Presler has been the most underrated individual. The right is not giving him enough airtime, enough screen time. People don't know who he is. I think if Trump does win this election, we can almost single-handedly thank Scott Presler.
Yeah, Pennsylvania is the state that swings everything in this election.
There should be 20 Scott Preslers in every battleground state.
Yep. Scott Presler.
If the Republicans had Scott
He
Presler,
moved into Pennsylvania so that he could register voters for the Republicans and make sure that we get the vote out in Pennsylvania, because it is the state that really she can't win without. If you're really looking at how the Electoral College map works, she has to have Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. I want to bring this up because that's coming. I wonder if this is true. Would you say that because when I go to the States, what I do love to see is these American flags mostly all over the place. You can always see one somewhere. We don't have that up here. I'm jealous of that you guys have had that. Would you say it's being watered down?
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
don't know if watered down is the right word so much so it's just been divided. There are two different ideas of what American culture is. I mean, maybe you could say it's the same thing if there's two divided ones that inherently waters each side down. So, but
okay,
it's being attacked. That's for sure.
Leon, you talk about entertainment all day. Like, obviously, the American identity has been watered down purely based on.
Well, it's the Amish.
I mean, actually, Leon, do me a favor. Turn around. Look at everything behind you. How many?
A lot of that's Japanese.
How many American things do you have on that shelf?
I got Star Wars. Make a pretty convincing argument.
He kind of got you there, Leon.
No, you're right. To be fair, well, yeah, entertainment is our main cultural export, but there's so much more to American identity than just our media. Like for example, freedom of speech is fundamental to our American identity. Really, very, very few to no other countries have that. I think
no other country has it enshrined in a constitution.
It's
not true. Japan does with
okay.
the same sort of exceptions that America does in terms of calling for violence and whatnot. I've actually read the Japanese constitution because I was curious, but they're the only country I've found that does also have it.
Well, then let's talk about freedom of speech as a cultural aspect. Do you feel like you have freedom of speech at work? And
actually, yes. No, actually, I do. So when COVID happened, my job was attempted to mandate vaccines. My entire department said, "Go fuck yourself." They're like, "Okay, fair enough. Never mind."
Okay. You know what? I'm sure there are specific aspects of it, but let me assure you, I could not say to my company, DEI is fucking racist bullshit. We need to get rid of it. It would lead to my firing
immediately.
And that is probably the experience of every single person working in a Fortune 500 company in America. Mm-hmm. So we don't have free speech in aspects of our daily lives. You couldn't say that at a university. You would have immediate consequences put upon you for that.
Part of the reason I'm still anonymous on YouTube is because, the company that I work for has specific rules about saying anything against DEI and all that kind of stuff on social media. It's grounds for firing.
Well, and so when I say we're divided, that's what I mean. I live in a very deep red Midwestern area to where we all, yes, you are going to have your fringe ideologies and whatnot, but I work for a Fortune 500 company that's headquartered in the Midwest. Let me tell you, it's pretty based around here. Now, I've noticed in some of our training stuff, it's starting to seep in there. But by the same token, they've also got the same fundamental Christian values of you can get fired if you're found cheating on your spouse. Now, again, I don't know that I agree with that, but it's an interesting sort of right-wing value enshrined in our company's handbook. So most people around here are in a sort of right-wing echo chamber, which is, in my opinion, that's a better thing than a left-wing echo chamber, but echo chambers are bad no matter how you slice it. So I'm very privileged to live where I live. I'll put it that way.
Okay. But I mean, you understand my point that.
Oh yeah. For sure. I do completely understand your point. Yeah.
So, are there other aspects of the, of the American identity that you find important that you think haven't been watered down?
Our rebellious attitude, and that's really, really getting stomped down. Like, just being glad. We just went to the East Coast, so we got to go to all the fun American Revolutionary War sites, and I was just so stoked to be around there because we are rebelling against a 3% tax rate back then. We pay 40% in taxes now, and it's fine. It's come on, guys, things that people would even protest against. Nobody wants to say anything. We're losing our backbone. I think we're losing our bravery, our are just kind of rebellious
revolutionary
attitude.
thinking.
Yeah, a revolutionary
Ironically enough,
thinking. Are
9/11
challenging
brought-
authority.
9/11 brought that back for a lot of individual Americans, and then the government took advantage of that with the Patriot Act. So it's kind of a
Yeah, and
lose-lose
even
unless
those
you
of
have
us on the
people-
right hate Bush for doing that.
Bingo, bango, bongo.
So evil.
I mean,
well,
I don't feel like weird saying this because it's like I know I'm kind of just interjecting randomly. I've never ever since when I did vote, I was registered as an independent voter, and that's when I first found like weird things with California because like there's there's the independent party versus like the political affiliation, and I got put in the independent party. That's not what I wanted to, which made me really angry. But
I'm registered unaffiliated.
Yeah, and I used to vote all the time. I mean, I used to be a poll worker, and then I started seeing fraud, and then I just saw like the insane government corruption and I began to see the government as like a giant political machine. Like regardless of who wins, like the government always wins. Like, and I feel like the parties are just like
Yeah,
there are
good luck
some
suing the
absolute-
IRS if they tell you owe taxes.
Yeah, that's the uniparty and that's the bureaucracy. That is what we call the
And
swamp.
that is the real deep state, though, and that's what people.
I know this.
And this is the problem. I know you, though. So this is a problem with the left. You say the term deep state, they assume you're some conspiratorial individual that believes in a cabal like the Illuminati. No, the deep state is the ingrained bureaucracy of individuals that cannot be fired. They're doing the same job day in and day out, no matter what the administration is, no matter what side is in power. You cannot reject the idea of the deep state and be taken seriously. It is a real thing when you've got a government that is too large and too complacent for too long.
Just look at Congress itself.
I
When
know.
you become a freshman congressman, you go up to DC, you were assigned a team of people to assist you. You don't get to choose those people. They've been in Washington forever. They're the ones that actually write the actual language of the bills along with the lobbyists. And I mean, you have no choice. You don't even know if the people that are working for you are on the same political aisle as you, because it's just a pool of people in DC that get handed to you to do the menial labor for you. But that menial labor ends up being, yeah, we're the ones who actually write the bills.
No, it's
Congressmen
funny you say-
don't.
so in 2016, I actually worked. This is right before I became a cop. In 2016, I worked for the for the Trump administration as a donation collector. I still voted Gary Johnson. It was just a fucking paycheck to me at the time.
Right.
Right.
I just want to say quickly, I don't. I go to states quite a bit because we're like 30 minutes from the border, so it's not like I'm in I'm not in Finland or some shit. But one thing that like happens from here is people want to get into the U.S. so badly that they will move here, immigrate here legally, and then sneak into the States. And we have people freeze to death every year trying to do that in the winter, which is a terrible idea, but it does happen. And so what that really should tell people, and from the South as well, is that you guys, like, you do have something special as the American identity to the point where everyone else wants a part of it or a piece of it. And so like you shouldn't feel bad at defending that which everyone else wants. You shouldn't be like, I don't know. And so like, the anti-American stuff, and then I think it's come up with the identity. I think it is important, and it's people, everyone is jealous of it, and they'll die trying to get into it. So like,
Yeah.
you
I mean,
should-
we're
you
still
should
the
be
greatest
proud.
country on the planet. And timescale, me and you agree on that point.
Okay, don't start that lie. Swahili is fucking awesome. Okay, sorry, continue.
Timescales, I completely agree on that with you and Lady B. Our government does work against us instead of for us. The whole point of the government is they are our employees. And instead, they've gotten to this point where they think they run things. The people are supposed to run things. That's what a republic is. We have people who are supposed to represent us that we vote for, not represent the lobbyist, not represent what the rest of their party thinks. Each state is supposed to be different, and each state is supposed to send these people to DC, and they're supposed to be doing things that are on behalf of their constituents. We don't have that in the government right now, on either side, ever. They are working completely against us. The fact that we each owe, what, $104,000 as our tax weight for the deficit is ridiculous, because half of that money is not going to improving the American way of life or any American's life. Half of that money is going all over the freaking world. We don't even help our own people when there's a natural disaster here, but we will send it everywhere else in the world for every reason possible.
Giant money.
$750 for Hurricane Helene, but by God, Ukraine got their $8 billion.
There's 2 wars going on right now, and we're funding both sides of both wars.
3 of you count the Cold War between China and Taiwan.
Yeah, but we're funding both sides of all those wars.
Time scales. I see your comment in the chat here. I promise you, I don't think anybody on this panel thinks that Donald Trump cares for us personally.
I think he cares about the country. There's no reason for him to have ever run if he didn't actually care about the direction of the country. He had no reason to be here.
I think there's a certain amount of ego involved.
Thank you, Scooby.
But
He's a narcissist.
Regardless of whether or not we agree on that, I don't really care. I don't expect my politicians to care about me personally. I care about their ability to affect policies that affect me personally. And I can only say, based on what I have seen, that the Democratic Party at the moment cares far more for non-American citizens, people other than myself, than they do for American citizens. And I can also say that while I have many issues with Trump's policies, they're ultimately better. Voting is it's not an Uber, it's public transportation. You need to get as close to where you want to go as possible given the limited options. So I'm not going to say I'm not voting for Trump because Trump doesn't like me. Of course he doesn't like me. But he's going to get me 2 miles from my destination, whereas Kamala is going to hit me over the head, stick me in the trunk, and drive me in the wrong direction. So,
fucking women drivers, am I right?
Right. So I don't.
And like I told the Christian panel earlier today, I'm not voting on Trump to be my pastor. I'm voting on him to be the president. The fact that he wants to drill for gas, get us to be a net exporter again, is automatically going to help the inflation come down. I mean, I'm voting for his platform. I'm not voting for him to be, some moral leader for us.
I think that there's what I'm picking up on is some missed signals. I don't think any of this is race issues. It's about citizenship, and I don't think it doesn't matter where you are. If you're there now and you're a citizen, priorities should probably be
30,000 Nigerians that believe in the Constitution and export 30,000 blue-haired Princeton liberals. If that would make America better.
I know that's thrown around a lot of people say that that's an issue, but that's not what we're discussing here. It's more of, I was asking that about immigration. Immigration is a good thing, I think. And it's good for us. You want to try to get, like anything, if you're picking a team, you want to try to take the best people possible. It doesn't matter what they look like, but you want to get the best players if you can. And then if you have other spots to fill, you fill them. I know it's a bad analogy possibly, but we're not talking about, we don't want this many of this person.
But immigration really did make America great when it was back in the 1930s. When my heritage,
there's
is Native
something
American
missing here. It's we're all trying to adjust information. It's there's immigration if it's one people are coming of their own and they're having to pay their way and do this. I feel like this immigration is something completely different. This is the U.S. is offering huge subsidies to pay for all of these people. They're getting they're to the point now the U.S. is just flying people into the country so they don't have to pay for the flight. They get health care, they get child care, they get food assistance, they get EBT, housing,
health insurance,
education, everything. And it's I'm looking at this and saying, you know what? These are people that are crazy. There's some really horrible, awful places where they're used to just having complete the gangs. I lived in Bakersfield. That place was awful. There's freaking cartels. When I moved out of Bakersfield, there was cartels that were going around kidnapping women off the street. And it was scary as shit. Like I had
they don't
really
do that
horrible
anymore
things.
because they might accidentally grab a man since it's California. But
Yeah, it is California. We have to watch out. But it's
Look out, Leon. You got to watch yourself.
What
Sorry.
freaks me out is, first of all, it's like, how the hell are we going to pay for this? I mean, like, these people are getting like thousands of dollars on their EBT cards. And if I worked at Target and I saw how people use that stuff, the system is insane. It's broken and we don't need to have it anymore. But like, how are we going to pay for that? How are we going to keep paying for that? And like, what's going to happen when the money runs out and there's all of these people that have been living off of this? Like, it's just going to be chaos. And you know what? It's like, you know, all those times in like Game of Thrones, Littlefinger saying like chaos is a ladder. And like, you know, as soon as there's chaos, it's like people are going to freak out and they're going to be wanting a solution. And the solution will be like central bank digital currency, digital ID. I mean, I feel like the illegal immigration thing is like to push the digital ID thing so more people get on that. And it's just awful. And it's just going to end up being like even more loss and erosion of freedom. The living standards will go down and just everything getting worse. It's like so frustrating. It has nothing to do with whether or not you want to help people or whatever, but that's how they say it. And people are so afraid all the time to say, I'm against this because like, if you're against like immigration or whatever, you're racist. And I'm getting really sick of that.
Well, we conflate it too much in today's political climate.
It's conflated for you. I think.
There is legal immigration and there's illegal immigration. Nobody is against legal immigration. We've had legal immigration for the history of this country for the most part. I mean, we talked about it earlier tonight. You come in with a sponsor, you have an actual skill, you contribute to society, you want to assimilate. And then there's illegal immigration where we've just got a wide open freaking border. And then we're just going to pass amnesty and give 20 million people citizenship for what reason?
Time scales. The idea that the U.S. should have paid her for immigrating. Don't get me wrong. It is amazing that she is a functioning member of society that's doing work for the country. Like that's great. However, the idea of paying individuals, and maybe you're being hyperbolic, I'm taking it too seriously, and if so, my apologies. The idea of paying people to immigrate, that is unsustainable. We have not. There's only been one president that's ever gotten us out of a deficit, and that was Andrew Jackson. We have been at a deficit ever since after Andrew Jackson's presidency. That is not a sustainable model.
Yeah, I actually disagree. If we had a way of looking at the immigration pool coming into this country and saying we will pay, let's say, 40 grand if you have an IQ over 125. That would make a ton of sense.
You just say be really selective about it. Okay, fair enough. There's a way to do that.
Yes,
you could do that, but if anyone can get in and just be like,
you couldn't do it legally. Yeah. There would be no way to do it legally with our current.
Or they could just do things. But there's a lot of even
legal doesn't matter at this point.
I know a lot of immigration.
Can you highlight his? Sorry,
babe, just say that like the H-1B visa system. It's destroying American manufacturing and like technology jobs because of this, because they just like, why are we hiring Americans? They're expensive no matter how good they are, when we can just get someone on H-1B visa from India to come in and do it.
Well, the whole thing about they're eating cats and dogs was, goofy, but it called attention to the issue, right? So in multiple cities, there's been multiple reports, and I'm pretty sure Springfield was one of them. Almost all the work there is factory work. Yeah. The people who live in that city who are now outnumbered by the Haitians. I mean, because there was 50,000 people living in that city and they imported 20,000 Haitians, right? Yep. Those Haitians get everything paid for, including their housing, their health insurance, the food stamps, everything. So they're perfectly fine going to work at that factory for $9 an hour because they can live off of that. They have no other bills. All the people in the town are saying, we can't get a job and we can't pay our mortgages. We can't pay our rent. We can't pay any of this because we can't compete with people that the government is subsidizing to be here that aren't even citizens.
With their tax dollars.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and
that's where the problem comes in.
Yeah, it's like you're stealing money from me to
the insult on top of the injury is with your tax dollars.
And that's not the only city that it's happening in. They're mass importing people. Trump is not wrong when he says there is an app where you basically just sign up for coming into the country and claiming asylum. You have an appointment time and date to show up at the border and then just be brought in to do whatever the hell.
So in the last, I've had the same job for the last 6 years. I went through because I was going to do a video on this, and then I didn't do it because I got lazy. I should probably still do this. So about 2 months ago, I went through all 6 years of my pay stubs and figured out how much I paid into Social Security. It just for this job, not including, because I've been working since I was 16. So just for this job alone, in the last 6 years, I paid in, I think it was like $32,000, somewhere in that realm. That's money that if Social Security dries up, I will never get to the point where, retirement comes or whatnot. Tell me why we don't have an option to opt out, or tell me why Social Security is even still a thing when it really shouldn't be. Instead, I'm just out this $32,000 that's going to continue to increase throughout the entire of my life that I will probably never get to claim if things continue on the route they are at least.
Hail Hypno. And thanks for the raid earlier, dude. My cheeks were solidly clapped.
If somebody said we're going to get rid of Social Security right now, that would, we will pay out the rest of, the people who are eligible for it. But starting right now, we will no longer be taking Social Security away from everybody 18 and under. It would be great if they were able to let me put my money that they take out of my Social Security and put it in just the S&P 500.
Private IRA.
I would, over the course of my life, assuming that I die at 70, I would have over $1 million more than what I'm actually going to get, assuming I die at 75.
This is what I'm saying. This is the greatest drama on TV right now. It's all that's on TV right now. And I'm trying to get into this and sort of, I have one more question for tonight that I want to get through. Do you have to have ID to vote in the States? And why is that an issue?
It depends.
It depends on the state.
In my state,
I don't understand that. We vote, everyone here in Canada, which is shitty. We have to have ID to vote. You'd be laughed out of the building if you didn't bring ID.
Exactly.
So is it really an issue there, or is that a joke? Is that
no, it's not a joke. There is one side of the country that does not believe in having voter ID.
Not just voter ID, any ID. You could just show up and say, "I'm voting."
He says voter ID. Yeah. He means ID. He means ID.
Any ID.
Any ID is
photo ID.
Showing any kind of ID.
We have to have 2 forms of ID to vote.
So the way it works,
and one has to have your address.
Yeah. So the way it works in America is you register to vote ahead of time.
Okay.
So I go to the DMV, I get my driver's license, and they say, "Would you like to register to vote?" So they record my name and my address that I live there.
Okay.
Then when it's time for me to vote, I tell them my name, they look me up, and they hand me my ballot. So if, for example, you are a state like California, who allows illegals to have driver's licenses, they are registered to vote often automatically. You have to actually check the box saying, "Do not register me to vote." So,
which is still technically illegal for them to register to vote, but
Yeah,
they
they
don't
do
tell
it
them
with
it's illegal to
every
register to vote. They just register them to vote.
Nor do they prosecute you for doing that.
Right.
So basically it's a situation where we have fundamentally no way to even investigate a case of somebody voting illegally unless they essentially brag about it and get caught. So it is extremely difficult for us to really do anything.
But you have to have ID to vote. Some kind of ID.
No.
Yeah.
Again, it depends on your state.
It depends on the state.
Okay.
So Psycho 216, they literally just made that requirement illegally in California.
Yeah. In California, they just said.
It won't be this election, but it'll be next election, I believe.
California just said it's illegal to ask for an ID to vote.
It's always been that way. I did poll workers like the Obama election and the primaries and stuff, and you are not allowed to ask people for ID. People just show you their ID because it's an easy way to find your address and stuff. But they've even made it now you can register the vote the day of the election and cast a provisional ballot, but it'll still get counted.
Time
Right.
scales. We
But
all
it
know
wasn't
how-
codified
sort of
as
I get
illegal
this.
before to ask for an ID. It just maybe wasn't done. Now it's codified into law that you cannot ask
No.
for an ID.
Also, timescales, that's not what happened. There's a reason we got the Electoral College, not the popular vote. When you say they trashed your votes, I mean, that's a pretty major claim for somebody that was also calling, asking if Trump should be in prison for crimes earlier.
You don't need an ID to register to vote in California. You don't. You fill out the paper, they send it to you. Like they're supposed to verify it, but I don't think they do. And what does it matter? It's like illegal immigrants can get driver's licenses in California. So what is an ID going to do?
How is that controversial though? So you could vote in theory as many times as you want?
No.
No, because you still have to be registered and it's got to be cross-checked against the registry, supposedly. But
however,
there's nothing that makes you prove that you're a citizen eligible to vote in the
Mhm.
U.S. at this point.
That's why. So states are supposed to periodically clean up their voter rolls. That way, oh, hey, this guy's dead, or this guy has moved to a different state, or whatnot. He cannot
Right.
vote here. States don't do that very often, and that's how you get a lot of election fraud. In fact, there were 3 states, I believe it was Texas, Missouri, and I don't remember the third, that are being sued by the federal government for clearing their voter rolls.
That article is so freaking hilarious. It's like, okay, I was a poll worker and I did like 4 elections in Kern County, and that is like, they're like, oh my god, it's so humane, we can't give water to people. Okay, there are, like, in the polling places, at least in California, within 500 feet of a polling place, there are no political signs allowed, and you are not to do anything called electioneering, which is exactly
Right.
what those people want to do around a polling place. And while electioneering is just an attempt to bribe people, it's like, and they may not say anything, they may give you things to make you want to vote a certain way, and that is illegal. So it's like, it's laughable to me that they're even trying to do that. Like, oh, we can't bribe people to vote. Like, what? Oh my god.
Where I'm at, they wouldn't let me wear this hat to go into the polls.
Yeah, they
No,
don't. They
you
shouldn't.
wouldn't be
Like,
allowed
that's,
to.
it's,
Okay. Well, that's I guess that does make sense. But so that's what I was asking. If they come to your house and you say these 5 people live in this house, and you could then go vote 5
Yeah,
times
so that
in
is how
theory.
that is how Biden won 2020. Is what they did was called ballot harvesting, where they would just show up, give you ballots. Oh, hey, there's 5 people here. You fill out the ballot for Biden 5 times. You hand it back to the person. They take it.
They ballot harvested at the colleges to a large degree.
So what is the
Degree,
racial aspect
colleges,
of
you made
this?
a good accidental joke there.
Why is it a racial issue then to have ID?
Because the Democrats claim that black people can't get IDs.
Yeah,
and they have no. Kamala Harris has specifically said, if you're in a rural area and you're black, you have no access to even like a Kinko's. You couldn't even make a photocopy of your ID. I mean, the racial aspect is the left is racist about this. They literally try to say that there's, black people have so much trouble getting a driver's license or an ID.
Hochul, the governor for New York, straight up said, black people don't know how to use computers.
Weird.
That is a quote. I mean, I may paraphrase slightly, but not slight enough for it to change the context.
So Brahma does have a channel, and everyone, including Brahma's, all of his stuff is in the description here. So his channel, his Twitter, you can follow him. So I'll put it in the chat too right now. But
and I literally got monetized yesterday.
Congratulations!
Yeah, last night the stream that you popped in on, Zach, that was the first monetized stream.
So, Zach, I just posted something in the chat for you. So
Thanks.
we were talking about voter registration and addresses. 22,000 people were registered at one address that voted.
What?
Crowder went after the 2020 election and went to Vegas and a number of other areas where there were some discrepancies. And yeah, there were a whole bunch of voters registered to empty parking lot addresses.
Is this for real though? Like, is this?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, this is why when people
Yeah.
say there's no election fraud and you bring all of this stuff in from all of the years, and it's like they're like, no, we just don't ignore it. It's like I don't know.
Well, and election fraud has been a problem since the inception of America. It's just never been it's actually easiest it's ever been to catch election fraud. They just don't want to because there's really only one side that's going to lopsidedly hurt.
Why do you think immediately after the 2020 elections, they immediately brought out the talking point? It was the most free and fair election in history.
I don't know.
Romeo.
It's the only election in history where the incumbent received more votes than he received in the prior election and yet still lost. That has never
And won
happened.
18 out of 19 bellwether counties within the country. The counties that have called the elections, accurately for decades and decades. He won 18 out of 19 of them. He won every battleground state that was contested in the previous election and still didn't win the election.
Even if you hate Trump, can you not at least acknowledge that a state like Georgia, which is traditionally votes a pretty particular way, voted the opposite, and it took 4 days after the election to acknowledge that they voted blue instead of red? Like, that is, you've got to at least admit that is weird. Like, that's weird. It shouldn't be hard to question that.
It was a very strange election that had very strange rule changes right as we were going into it because of COVID.
People were scared or afraid that somehow Trump was going to use COVID as a way to not have an election. And that was but that was never really a possibility, correct?
No, it was not. That was a fringe talking point passed around, but no, that would never
In fact, what actually happened was all the major Democrat cities boarded up all of their stores, windows, and doors because of the chance that Trump would win, because they knew the left was going to go insane the next day. We had already had the whole summer of 2020, the summer of love.
Right.
They were already looting and destroying everything, and they were literally boarding up every major city in preparation for Trump to win the election. There was never a chance there wasn't going to be an election.
Okay. Yeah. So that's just bullshit.
Yeah. It's again, it was a fringe thing that people on the internet were saying, or people on YouTube videos, but it was never true. They basically, you've seen Star Wars, right? Obviously, the prequel trilogy. You know how Palpatine uses all the executive powers to make himself the emperor? That is effectively what they were saying Trump was going to do. Again, fringe people, but it's the same concept.
Fringe people like that work for like MSN and stuff. Like,
I was gonna say at this point, is Joy Reid considered a fringe person?
I know.
Okay.
Okay. The reason I brought this up, so you guys in Canada, the party in charge can call an election whenever they want to, within some boundaries. So we don't have. So that's why I'm asking that, because like they can put it off. They try to call an election when they think they're going to win, is what they do. So it can be 2 years up to 5 years. So I'm used to a different. That's why I'm asking. Could that actually?
The presidential election is every 4 years.
Every 4 years.
Every 4 years. Congress is elected fully every 2 years. The Senate is every 6 years.
Yeah.
And it's a rolling cycle for the Senate.
You don't want us here.
Now, however, there are instances where it goes the opposite way at the state level, where if you have a let's say your representative, your governor, or something to that effect, becomes incapacitated, there can be emergency elections to
special elections and recall elections.
Special elections to put someone else in place. That way you still have leadership in your state.
You can recall people as well. Like Governor Newsom, there technically was a recall election.
There was. Yeah.
And that was the one where Larry Elder was called the blackface of white supremacy.
I think I heard that.
Blackface.
That's hilarious.
that was like when I left California. I was like right after that. I was like, bye.
Yeah.
But if your president's senile, he can't run again, but he can still be president for now.
Joe Biden could have run again. There's nothing legally stopping him from.
Yeah. I mean, technically the legalities of this were, the weird part was how they decided who got to be on the ballot and win, because there were certain time limits that were already passed that she shouldn't have been on ballots in certain states.
And you have like you guys, I know you guys have term limits, so you have 2 for the president. So if say Kamala was to win, she could be president twice in a row.
Right.
And if Trump was to win, he can't run again.
He can't run again.
Correct.
Up here, you can be prime minister forever. It's stupid.
Yeah,
Right.
that is fucked up.
It is.
Because I didn't know that about you guys until Vex told me. And I was like, how long has the Trudeau guy been in office? And she's like, oh, for like 12 years or however
been
long
10,
it's been.
12 years,
And I was
yeah.
like, are you insane? Like, okay, it's baffling. It is absolutely baffling that you guys don't have term limits. Now, frankly, we don't have term limits on our Supreme Court justices. That's the only thing that's like a position for life. I'm pretty
We don't have
iffy about
limits for congressmen.
Or
do we
senators.
not?
No. And I don't think we should because of the bureaucracy.
Yeah, guys, everybody
I
giving
thought we
giving
did.
Brahmabull shit in the chat for the Congress thing. In some states, House of Representatives and Congress are synonymous. It's not. He's not wrong. He's just using the
House of Representatives, if you want to use that terminology. Yeah.
Australia, big ship. I feel for you too.
Very clearly delineated that Senate was 6 years. It's just nomenclature in different areas.
Yeah, you guys have got that right. Term limits are a very, very, very good idea.
I don't know that they are, personally.
But our prime minister called the election during COVID. Even though he was shutting everything down at the same time, he's like, we have to have an election
in your system, maybe they would be. In our system, I don't know that it's a great idea because of the exact same things we were talking about earlier.
So, Brahmabull, if I could challenge that though, so like, because we were talking about the deep state earlier and how the problem is the bureaucracy that goes unchecked administration to administration. How would that not be any different? And also, the government is not supposed to be a job; it's supposed to be a public service. Shouldn't, if you have unrestricted term limits,
I would have agreed up until recently, but because of the deep state and the bureaucracy, having a freshman congressman or senator every 2 limits means that the bureaucracy actually has more power because you don't have anybody who actually knows what they're doing because they haven't been there long enough to actually figure it out.
I'm operating under the assumption of no term limits, of also the idea of getting rid of the deep state. Like,
if you get rid of the deep state, if you get rid of the bureaucracy and everybody hires their own staff and it's a fresh staff every time somebody comes in, sure, I'd be on board with you. Okay, but at this point, I've seen too much. I've seen too much that the people that are not the elected people are actually doing the stuff.
Right.
That I don't want a whole bunch of idiots who just get elected and they've got 2 terms to figure it out. And by the time they figured it out, you're out. You're limited. Whatever. I don't care how long the term is. I literally would have been 100% on board with term limits.
No, yeah, I know.
2 to 4 years ago.
I thought my sentiment was implied and it wasn't, so my bad.
So I'm gonna actually challenge you a little bit on this, and
that's fine. A lot of people challenged me on this one, so
I'm gonna take you back 100 years, and I'm gonna say there's a quote that I had to say because it struck me as brilliant, and it's: "A democracy cannot exist as a permanent form of government. It can only exist until the voting majority discovers it can vote itself the largesse of the public treasury."
Right. Rush Limbaugh. Nobody votes against Santa Claus.
Alexandra Tytler, but
I know. I mean, that's the more recent comparison. That's the other issue with immigration. If you're getting everything from the government, you're going to continue to vote for the people that give you everything.
Yes, and many. And 100 years ago, FDR was giving everybody everything.
Yeah.
Now, I would argue that I would vote against Santa Claus. I don't like fat people. Sorry.
All right.
There you go.
Like your fat phobia is shine there.
I'm fat phobic as fuck.
So my great fear with the presidency and a lack of term limits would be we would run into Barack Obama doing.
Okay, we're on the same board on the presidency. I'm talking about Congress specifically. Because the presidency they do bring in their own cabinet. They do bring in their own people. Congress doesn't get to. Congress gets pulled from the pool of bureaucrats that have been there working. So presidency, yes. Term limits all the way. Fully on board. Congress and Senate, I think it's a different issue because of who your staffing is and who's actually doing the stuff. Most congressmen and Senate, well, not as much at the senators because of the 6 years thing, but most congressmen get up there and immediately are running for their next election. They're not doing any work. I mean, They may be going on TV, but for the most part, they're trying to get sound bites so that they can make sure they're reelected the next time.
And fundraising.
Because on that short cycle, I mean, we all know what the election cycle is in America now. We're constantly in an election cycle. The second this one ends, we're going to start the next election cycle.
Congressional midterms.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's shit. I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Well, we have been going for almost 3 hours here, so I'm going to wrap us up here. This was awesome. This was fantastic. I had a great time.
You don't want to talk about one more. You don't want to talk about one more firework thing, real quick.
Talk about you guys. I'm good to keep going. It's up.
One more thing, just because I want to hear everybody else's take on what they think is going to happen.
Okay.
We might be asking the same question. Okay, go on.
What happens if either of these people win the presidency?
We're not asking the same question. Okay.
If Trump wins, I think the country burns. If Kamala wins and it's close, I think the right finally is going to be fed up with this crap if it looks like there was a cheat. What do you guys think actually happens?
I think that
what is the situation where we don't lead ourselves into further headbutting and maybe even, I mean, Zax was worried earlier that we're the preeminent superpower on the planet and we need to stick around for a little while.
Please do.
I think the only thing that you have to worry about is that we're going to go against each other real quick.
Do you think that's a real possibility?
If Trump wins, the country burns. If Trump doesn't win, the world burns, because I do not think Kamala has the foreign policy that will keep World War III at bay.
Okay. I say this every time I have this conversation. I think we overrate the importance of the president, and I think we overrate the importance of individual elections, because as you all have laid out very astutely, our government runs not based on the presidency, but based on the bureaucracy. Joe Biden is fucking dead,
right?
And the country is running. And I mean, I truthfully think, let's say Kamala Harris wins. Realistically, Ukraine and Russia are still going to be fighting. Israel and the Middle East are still going to be fighting. It's been going on since fucking 600 BC. We're realistically, maybe Taiwan and China kicks off, but I'm not sure that's.
See, I would push back on that. That's the one.
Nothing happened under Trump.
Presidency does matter is foreign policy. And I'm an isolationist personally. I'm actually a full on isolationist, straight up feudal Japan style in most respects.
Yep.
That being said, that's the president's main course of action is foreign policy, and everything else I would agree with you on in terms of it actually doesn't matter. It's the local aspect that matters, but. Again, that's just me.
I just think at this point, we've had even up to earlier today, we've already had multiple assassination attempts. And then we've got people calling Trump once again, the guy with the little mustache from Germany. I mean, at what point, if Trump does win, I mean, it's been at this point set up that, he has to be taken out because he is that guy, right? And I think the right doesn't trust elections anymore. And how can a country continue to function if elections aren't trusted?
So ironically, that's the main reason I think J.D. Vance was a great pick.
Me too. I think he's election insurance for Trump because J.D. Vance is a smarter Trump.
I used to think that. I thought that, but however, if J.D. Vance was election insurance, then why was there already two
J.D. Vance hadn't been picked yet when the first one happened.
I think there's I think I'm not sure it's necessarily election insurance so much as it is once he's in office.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
that's what I meant as well.
In addition, let's say that the Trump Vance ticket wins, and you're the Democrats, and you decide you're going to come out with some new novel legal theory to say that Trump isn't the guy. Congrats, you have J.D. Vance sitting there, the further right, much smarter, much more savage candidate.
So let me pose this one to you, Lord B. Jamie Raskin is on record multiple times saying if Trump does win the election, they will not certify the election. which is exactly what they've said we did in 2020. But that's what they're planning on going with. Is he's a felon. He cannot be the president. They already tried to keep him off the ballot in my state, Colorado, and other states.
He can't vote for himself, but there is actually no law saying a convicted felon can't run. Just that they can't vote.
The only law about the presidency, you got to be 35 and you can't be impeached and convicted. He's been impeached, but he was never convicted by the Senate. And and a natural born citizen.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're already planting these seeds, and this is what we also saw in 2020. I'm incredibly white-pilled about the election as far as who's going to win the election. I'm black-pilled on what's going to happen with the country afterwards. But we're already seeing them planting those seeds just like they did in 2020 when they said, what you're going to see is a huge wave for Trump at the beginning of the night, but don't worry. By the end of it, Biden will have taken it. I mean, they literally put the playbook out there, and now they're putting a new playbook out there.
It was 4 days later, but you said you're white pilled about the election. I want to be, and in my head I am, but I refuse to really acknowledge it because I'm worried about a complacency issue. If everybody's white pilled about Trump winning, then are individuals going to get lazy?
I've called all night for people to vote early and play by their rules because I'm white pilled in that the margin of cheat is beatable. There is a margin of cheat, and we're looking at stuff like Polymarket, and I mean it's a 20-point lead, and that's where people are actually putting their money where their mouth is. The polls can be manipulated far more. Polymarket can be manipulated, but at this point, we're seeing
that's dealing with people's money, which is far more accurate because there's actual financial stakes.
And we're seeing every one of the battleground states is breaking Trump 10 to 11 points. The election is somewhere around 20 points. That's above the margin of cheat if those are real numbers. And the polls, if you look at the polls historically, Trump is leading +1, +2 in quite a few polls. He's down tied or -1 in a few other polls, but the margin in the history of this he was behind Biden like 6 and he was behind Hillary like 10 at this time.
I'm pretty sure,
and we saw how close those were.
Hillary by 16, actually. I could be wrong, but I think he was behind Hillary by 16. And
depends. I mean, I'm talking about like at this exact date.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
As of last Sunday.
Okay.
So I'm white pilled on it in that I think the margin of cheat, I think if the information that we are getting is correct, and I always, very much question that information, but the advent of
favor Democrats by about a 3% margin. So if you
and the advent of the betting markets is a whole new thing. I mean, it's been around for a little while, but it's starting to be more focused on. And I think that the margin of cheat is probably going to be beyond what can be cheated. So, but I don't know what's going to happen after the election. That's where I'm concerned, because I think they'll keep coming after Trump, not just politically, but I think, we know of the hit out from Iran, and we know he's already had 2 assassination attempts. That's the concern I have. Even if it becomes J.D. Vance, that's still a country breaking thing if something were to happen.
Yeah.
Not to black pill too much at the end of the stream. I just think it's interesting what might happen after this election, because that's another thing that I don't know, Zach's up there, if you guys are thinking about that.
Can we go back real quick? I
Sure.
saw Timescale's comment, and I want to bully him now.
First, wait. I need to know which painting do you like better. These are fishing paintings, left or right?
The right.
I like right.
Okay.
Looks nice.
I like left.
Drama?
I like right.
Okay. Let's get on with bullying. Who do you want to bully?
Timescales.
Okay.
The argument that well, my wife is an illegal and she's a net gain on the economy is what we in the business call anecdotal evidence, and is not remotely backed up by basically any kind of data that we have on the net economic impacts of immigration. to give you an idea, if it costs roughly $80,000 to hold somebody in prison for a year, you're talking about it taking 20 to 25 legitimate paying taxpayers to cancel that out. There is no way that the standard illegal who comes across the border, and let's even say that they're doing construction work and making $19 an hour, they will never make up the difference of even one that goes to prison over the course of their entire life. So, yes, there are some exceptions where the illegal ends up being a net benefit for the country, but on average, that's not how the numbers work out.
No.
Also, and
I have to reveal this result quick, guys, before we go.
Sorry.
They're going to timescales.
No, I just wanted to ask him a question, but yeah, go for it.
The painting on the left is an Adolf Hitler original.
I chose Hitler, baby.
That's all I'm saying.
See, I ironically, and I think I don't know if we've had this conversation before, but Hitler failing to get into art school is, ironically, it's a meme, but it's also, in a way, somewhat indicative of the state of Weimar Germany at the time. Because Hitler was not a bad compositionist, but the art style in vogue at the time.
You mean a mind compositionist?
George, we're having a
sorry.
But that's also the one painting that wouldn't get tomato soup get thrown on it today.
Right. But the art style in Germany was this incredible, weird and abstract.
It was so awful.
Art style,
Bauhaus and shit. Oh my God.
And it was very much out of alignment with the cultural identity of the average German populace at the time. And so,
good night, Gemma.
In a way, it was, Hitler being rejected from art school was a reflection of sort of the German culture and the German dissatisfaction with its bourgeoisie, if you will.
We got to wrap this up.
Yes, I'm tired, babe. Let's change this conversation.
But we can do this again sometime for sure. This was fantastic. Lady B, Lord B, what's going on with you guys? What can people go check out? All of your links are in the description, and I put them in the chat. What should people look for from you two?
Okay, well, White Cloaks are coming up with their rewatches. They've been recording them, and I actually need to go and switch our StreamYard account so folks can post. So I had to do that.
There's probably going to be a stream sometime this week. I'm being bullied by my fellow White Cloaks into signing on for that this week sometime. So hopefully doing well. And that's kind of what we're up to.
Make bullying acceptable again, right? That's what we're saying. So thank you guys so much for doing this. And Leon, Words of Paradise, you're streaming like 8 times a week now.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I love it. So the only issue with it is that I there's been times where I've neglected my own content to do it because I would rather be talking with folks and interacting than just looking into a camera and talking. So the streaming is great. I love doing it. Anyone that wants me on, so long as it falls within the schedule that I can manage, I will happily do it. I love doing it. But yeah, I also do try to do at least 3 videos a day, almost every day, covering both politics, pop culture, and how they intersect. Today, did videos on things like Sonic the Hedgehog and Elon Musk getting roasted by CNN and why CNN's retarded. So and then did a reaction to an anime trailer. My shit's sort of all over the place. I just cover what I think is interesting, even if it doesn't get views. So yeah, come check out Words of Paradise. I appreciate it. And I stream on my own channel Monday, Tuesday, Friday.
Your solo streams are like stream of consciousness. I do enjoy them. Like, they're fun to hang out in the chat. You keep on top of the chat way better than I do. And you're by yourself, so good for you. Congrats.
I got that sort of Ben Shapiro disease, but it mixed with Midwest mushmouth. So
it works.
It's not a bad thing. It works.
I will also say, Leon, you have the most entertaining haters I have ever seen. The one that particularly jumped out to me was the guy who was saying, I'll bet you don't even play guitar. To which I really wanted to ask, like, please look at this man. Like, there are probably many things that he doesn't do well, like throw a baseball, etc. But no, this man definitely looks like he's an excellent guitar player. So
Thank you. I'm so glad you turned into Don Rickles there for the last part of the stream to fucking tell me about my guitar playing. Thank you.
Brahma, this is fantastic to have you back on, and people are asking about your channel, and you do tons of great stuff over there, and you just got monetized, so congratulations. That's a big step. What can people look forward to besides your gaming streams?
Yeah, Tuesday night we game. Wednesday, every other Wednesday, I've got the Christian panel with that's on Carrie Smith's channel. Mondays and Thursdays, I'm on Comics Division's panels. Friday, I'm on Ascendant Art. Those guys need some subs to get monetized, and they're good guys. We kind of do a variety show on Friday nights after Friday Night Tights. Saturday, I do my bourbon and boarding stream, which is about hockey. Sunday morning, I do my political stream. So, yeah, I have a diverse channel. We do gaming, we do hockey, we do politics. It's probably going to screw me in the long run because you're not supposed to diversify your channel. But we finally got monetized, so I'm very happy about that. Now the wife can get off my back a little bit about doing this for 2 years without making any money.
Dude, I know that feeling.
Yeah. But it was great to be back. I can't remember, was the last time I was on the Hunter J stream when I was in Dallas, and I was very, very, very drunk.
That was awesome, though. You came on, and that was, I think you've been on twice on Circle of Jerks.
I've popped in at the end and then gone over with you to Tim, I think. But
right. Yeah, you were there for Irene.
Yes, I was.
Yes,
the scary thing was I had forgotten about it the next morning because Boosh was like, "How do you not remember a woman dying on stream?" I was like, "Well, bourbon."
Bourbon does it.
When we get to 2 a.m. and I've started at 8, yeah, I tend to not remember the last hour or so if we go that late. So, but yeah, it's great to be back. Love hanging out with you guys. And I don't think I've ever been on with Lord and Lady B either. I know me and Lady B know each other from a lot of the Wheel of Time stuff, but I don't think we've ever actually been on together. And Leona, it was great to meet you. So.
Yeah, great meeting you as well. I subbed to you. I'm going to follow you on X as well. It was great meeting you. I'm glad that you guys are drinking. I refuse to. I usually drink when I'm like, this might be the very first time I've ever been on your show's X and not drink, because I'm like, I don't want to fuck this one up.
I mean, my whole background is bourbon and whiskey. So
hold on, let's give people a look there.
Yeah, there's a lot of it back there.
Is that a popcorn bucket? That Wolverine?
Yeah, that's the Wolverine popcorn bucket.
Nice, nice one. Circle of Jerks is back on Saturday night, 10 o'clock. We're trying the earlier time again. Last week was insane, the Clam Jam, but the Jerks are back and hang out with us. And then next Wednesday, I'm looking for something Halloween themed, maybe sort of how all the traditions came to be for Halloween instead of just the movies. But like, how do we get here? What's so cool about it? And why is it different? And why is it a special holiday? So
yeah, we could talk about witchy shit.
So
there's please.
There's one political thing that involves Halloween that I'm adamant about.
Mm-hmm.
Trunk or treat needs to be made illegal.
What
I would vote for you. I would vote for you so hard.
Is that where they parking lots?
Yes.
Oh, that's fucking stupid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking put your costume on and run around your damn neighborhood like a fucking real man. Like,
that's right.
God, I hate that.
And by the way, if we do want to do another one of these and you want to have the timescales on to have a slightly other leaning opinion, I'd be happy to do it. I don't often do debates, but I mean, if it's a good faith debate, I'm happy to hang out and chat.
Or more just a conversation, swapping of ideas, because we didn't all agree on everything tonight, even though we all sort of had the same semblance of opinions. Like, we didn't agree on everything.
Yeah, I say debate, but a conversation is all I care about. I mean, that's why I'm here. I mean, on YouTube is to have conversations with people. So
Draco's getting one at the end. Mega baby. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, chat. You guys are gonna get played out with what we all know is your favorite song. Brahmabull especially is a big fan of this creator, so we'll play this out. Buckle up. This is it for it's your people, Leon. Don't worry. Yes. Thanks everyone. Have a great night, and
thank you guys.
I'll stand for your anthem.
respect to the trans community. And fuck you, transphobes.
Trans people are my friends. Transphobes gon' catch these hands. Trans people are my friends. So respect them, but we're going in. Trans people are my friends. Transphobes gon' catch these hands. Trans people are my friends. So respect them, but we're going in. Transphobes, show your fucking mouth. I'll knock you out. I'll knock you out. Transphobes, show your fucking mouth. I'll knock you out. You better watch out. Trans people are my friends. Transphobes gon' catch these hands.